feels like I'm meant to strike. Flat earth beneath my feet, knowing I'm here to meet. Ocean's edge, it calls my name. Purpose in this life's game. Horizons line so clear, God's love brings me near. Flat earth made by him, my journey long yet thin. Purpose found in every day, guided by his gentle sway. Mountains tall, they stand in place.
Yo, Flows, what's up? Good to see you all. Thank you for coming. Glad you could make it. And yeah, good to see Jonathan just hopped in as we start. How's it going? Yeah, we're joined by Roger, Michael, Jeff, and the man himself, Jonathan. It's good to see you guys.
Greetings.
Yo.
Thank you for coming, man. Appreciate
Thanks for having me.
the time. It's good to see you. I just want to find out before we do start, is that a green screen behind you? No.
Yeah, probably could be. Hey, look, I want to, before we start, or maybe when we start, some of the stuff, some of the guys that have been on your stream doing the Unreal Engine stuff, that's brilliant work. And
Agree.
I would like them to email me for just in general to know them and for other projects, because that's really good work. The guy that was moving the sun on the last thing, can put that guy to work.
Yeah. Like I said, it was just one of my ideas that could have happened. Not saying it
Yeah.
is how it is. It's
No,
just,
I like it. I welcome all the questioning. That's why I'm here. I'm enjoying all of the stuff, the exposure, meeting people in the communities, talking, finding out what people believe, and beyond any trip to Antarctica, like there's a deeper underlying question there I want to know is, well, what do you believe? Why? And can you walk me through it? Maybe help me believe it.
Mhm.
I did link your channel in my description if anybody wants to go and look at his content. I do find it interesting. Your content though.
You want
Is
to
it-
talk
is
about
it-
that? It's why some of the things are there's less. I can walk you
Yeah.
through my YouTube. So you go back and you look, and there's some videos that had a lot of really high viewership. I've got a huge number of followers. The account was dormant for a long time. I set that account up with those girls and with that band. The band was Mindless Behavior, and the family of girls, the Westbrooks. We set that up and had like a game plan strategy while they were. This is like back in 2016 or 15. They were, the boys were touring the world. They were on a world tour, and I had met them through a place I worked called Awesomeness TV. The girls were a family where their father was responsible for inventing the blunt rap, and they had mixed it up with a lot of like rap and R&B artists in Los Angeles and in those communities, and so they started to have elevated numbers rise with their own channels. And some time went by, and most of the work I do, you saw on my website, it's I work as a cinematographer or a director of photography. I do a lot of gaffing and gripping work. I had a grip an electric truck with a buddy and roommate for about 10 years. And as I started to transition more into writing, directing, and then producing more content, I didn't really have a foundation online anywhere. And friends were like, you should really get into this. You should look into some of these clip apps where you can take old videos and clip them out. And so I really enjoy, like, if you think of a basketball player, an athlete, you have the games, which are really important, but you have to do the free throws. You have to practice. You have to run. You have to do the fundamentals. So my channel, and when I was setting it up to kind of come back to it, it had been dormant for so long. There's certain criteria YouTube requires for you to, do certain things, whether it's monetization or otherwise lives. And I thought, let me try applying some of these tools. Like Opus.pro is a great tool. It does the auto captions. It uses AI to break up your clips. I'd highly suggest it for everyone like yourself. I mean, you do 2 and 3 hours of content, you could really have AI clip it out and let the
Yeah.
people
That'd
kind
be
of
quicker.
fundamentally go through it later. So
Well, AI
just to make a long story short,
AI
that's kind of where it was at.
Yeah, but I think AI make things much easier these days, especially with all the advancements it's giving. I think it just cuts production time down quite a lot,
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
don't trust AI.
Yeah. Is it really AI or is it I mean, it seems to me it's just really quick Googling,
It's
you know?
algorithm based.
Yeah. Like I like to have ChatGPT rewrite things in like Alan Watts or Stanley Kubrick's voice. So I'll do a text to like my dad, and then I'll be like, wait, rewrite this as if Alan Watts said it. And fundamentally the verbiage gets really like heavy, and I enjoy that sort of thing.
Yeah, because we looked through your portfolio and it's quite impressive portfolio. So
No,
congratulations,
thank
man.
you.
I think you're doing
Thank
quite
you.
well.
It's 20 years of work.
No, definitely. Um, I know everybody's got a lot of questions to ask you and stuff, and like I said, I do appreciate you. I don't know you from a bar soap, so I can't. How can I say judge you or anything? But I am going to say, based on your portfolio, I think you are the right guy to fake it if it had to be faked. You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. I can accept that.
That was
But
a very
how,
High
interesting
praise. I'm going to need to
compliment
clip this
slash
out for my own
insult.
resume.
but how exactly did you get involved with this whole TFE though?
Well, it's an interesting thing. It's it starts with Mark Herman, who's Candace Owens' director, an old roommate of mine and friend of mine. I was the best man in his wedding. We went to Las Vegas before the wedding for a bachelor party, and Mark was one of the guys that came. And then obviously going to his wedding, it was in Nashville, so it was like a multi-day event. Unfortunately, it rained, so we were all out there like shoveling the tent where the rain was falling around the event. So we got pretty close. And after the wedding and after the bachelor party, I friended up all of the guys, and Mark being one of them. I saw him posting that he was going on a trip to Antarctica with Alex Stein, the kind of political comedian. I thought, oh, that guy's hilarious. He goes into like city council meetings and just berates people, but he throws a lot of truth into it, right? Like,
Mhm.
if you've not seen Alex Stein, I
He's
highly
he's
suggest.
he's quirky with his boxer shorts always and his shirt and tie top. Yeah.
We know
He's good.
Alex,
He's a
man. Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, you're going to Antarctica with him, and I'm a flat earther, and I'm like, why are you, what's the deal? Why are you going? He's like, shares the final experiment site. And now let me preface, I didn't dive into it. I saw the site and I'm like, holy shit, it's a flat earth documentary, or not documentary. There was nothing there. It was a flat earth journey or expedition with like all of these people I've heard of, Eric Dubay, Mark Sargent, the people we've all seen their videos. Um, they're all possibly going. This is really interesting. So I quickly go back to my phone, and I'm like, man, I want to come. Can I come? How are you going? I volunteered to come shoot, thinking if somebody's going, let me come as a filmmaker. I even sent him the show I had been working on, a sports show before this. And his response was like, yeah, it's about $40,000. So anyone can go. There's still seats. And he kind of like played it off a little bit, or like dismissed me. And again, I'm still thinking it's like a pro flat earth documentary. I'm like, this is incredible. I'd love to see Antarctica. Like, you can't go to Antarctica, all the things, right?
Mhm.
And I think I even asked him, I'm like, I didn't know you were a flat earther. And he's like, I'm not. And I'm like, oh, you're going with Candace is sending you to, like, because she's a flat earther, and to kind of have your mind changed. And he's like, no, the guy putting it on he's a glober. I'm like, okay, interesting. Still want to go. And some time passed, and he posted some other times on Facebook on his stories, and I was like, hey, I'm still really interested. And I'd say that it was probably about a month or two of that, and then it was Thanksgiving in the United States, and I'm a couple days out from going to Boston with my wife and to see her family and brother-in-law, and I get a call at like 7 in the morning, and it's Mark Herman, and I look over and I'm like, what's he calling about? Either it's work or it's flat earth. Like, work because I sent him he's a director, so I sent him a lot of my cinematography work from this show I was doing. And I was like, okay, let's see what it's about. It's 7, but I don't usually take a random call. It's Mark, maybe it's flat earth. And it was. And he said, look, if you're still interested, the guy organizing it, Will Duffy, would like to know more about what it would take. He's interested in a documentary or a piece. some content. I thought maybe more likely content. And I had a couple calls with him. The first one went really well. He wasn't interested in just web content, which you can see from my socials. I was starting to explore all the AI programs and like just doing vlogs, stuff I could do around my house between big projects, trying to fundamentally wrap my head around that process. But he wasn't interested in that. He wanted to know what it would take to do something long form, like a proper feature length documentary. So I said, okay, let me send you something I've recently worked on. If Mark hasn't shown you, let me know if you like the scope of this work. And, there's interviews and performances, athletes. I sent him that. He responded immediately and was like, wow, this is, phenomenal. I think was the word he said. I want to do this. He says, I need to get on a call with everyone that's going and let them know that you're going on the trip. I want them to be clear where you stand. Is it okay? Are you a flat earther? Or, are you just kind of dabbling? And how can I tell them that? How long have you been a flat earther? And so I invited him to come. I said, look, I don't do content for that. I've just recently started making content again for like socials. But if you follow me on Facebook, I'll accept it. There's probably a lot of sensational stuff on there that doesn't have to do with flat earth. If you dig through it long enough, you'll probably find some conversations. I had him over the years. And he did, and like instantly that night, he's like texting me pictures and screenshots. Wow, this is amazing. 2015, the Earth is flat, a post I had written.
Yeah.
2019, I have like this long thread about how you can't go to Antarctica. He's like, this is great. I'm like, I don't even remember that, but it's real. I don't remember that discussion. I remember not thinking you could go to Antarctica. And so he thought that was great. And we did a call. And I got on the call and it was similar to this. There's like Toon, all the guys. And the flat earthers are instantly telling me they have final cut on the doc and make sure I'm okay with this. And I'm like, look, this is Will's documentary. Ultimately, he's financing this. He's bringing me, if it's okay with Will, I'm okay with anything in that sense. Like if you guys need to see this.
So did Will Duffy finance for you to go and do all that stuff down there?
He paid for me to go, like he did it, like one of the flat earthers and one of the rounders. He's financing the post production. It's pretty much at cost here. I don't have a big check. I wanted to go, so I forego any huge payments for that.
Well, the thing is, it's also another plus for your portfolio as well. So it's
of
something
course.
And I think it's more down the line on what you do as well. So I mean, it's like, and then I want to say, are you going to start in a world?
I always joke when we're in real life. I'm like, previously on Dawson's Creek, or like or whatever the situation is. No, I don't think it's that kind of doc. Like I've been watching a lot of stuff lately, a lot of flat Earth docs, a lot of like, I watched Werner Herzog's a couple times before we went. I think the best case, and Will agrees, and I know that talking, I think I won over everyone on the trip, the flat Earths too. Like, it's important to present both ideas in a documentary and to not be biased. I get so riled up with politics and people being called conspiracy theorists because they have questions or they didn't have some point in time where they were able to ask a question. I want to present a story of these 9 strangers because that's what we were, minus me and Mark, I guess. But we hardly knew each other. So 9 strangers going on this incredible journey, very strong, polarized, pun intended, polarizing ideas here. And the scrutiny that crucible of ideas is going to undergo, the research, the experiments, the friendships, the camaraderie that kind of happens in those situations. I think that's more entertaining. And I think that opens up a conversation more for this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot smarter people than me on this trip and in these chats. And so I think fundamentally communicating with those people now after the trip, I tried a little bit before the trip, but no one really responded because I hadn't gone. No one knew who I was. I think actually wearing this and having that green screen moment kind of like it like definitely. And as people are like, are you mad? Like they're like, we have a thread and everyone's like, they're calling us Masons and stuff. Are you mad? And I'm like loving it. Like I'm sitting here at night reading stuff with my wife and I'm like, this is amazing. I'm a meme. I'm a conspiracy theory. People are calling me an agent of chaos. Like I'm registering that as like maybe a website name. That's great. Maybe I should like take this on.
Look, one thing I've also realized, even with my time in this arena, you do get a lot of, how can I say, conspiracies against you, even from any side. So that is a normal thing, though. I do understand that. I think when it comes to us with you, there's a few things that we sort of saw like red flags. You know, like some of the things you said on your live stream. Because you probably watched that stream we had going through it.
Yeah, I watched that one. Yeah.
Would you have any answers for those things we were like talking about?
Of course, yeah. Ask me again just to be specific, but
Like when you were talking about the planet,
yeah.
you referenced Earth as a planet. Would that
Well,
be considered a flag? I think
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
Like, we could forgive him saying planets, but you mentioned something, and I'm Michael, by the way.
Michael.
You mentioned like something about curvature, like it's not been. You've not seen no evidence of no curvature, or something along them lines. I'm paraphrasing. Now, was that a slip at tongue, or are you under the
Definitely.
impression that there is observable or measurable curvature?
Not getting on calls like as I have been since coming back. I've come back and I get on like Dips thing on TikTok and Clubhouse and a couple of those X account streams. And people have checked me on my verbiage and language. I think a lot of it was I wasn't engaged in the community and the conversation. So where I was talking to people mostly as a flat earther was individuals, people on my own Facebook, people that I know, right? And so I would try to get into those conversations afterwards, and people are like, "Well, why are you saying Earth is a planet or this sort of thing?" I think they were largely slip of the tongues, at least in referencing some of those ideas. I understand. I was aware of like planets being wandering stars and that language as well. So yeah, I think that's by and large like the adrenaline's pumping. We're in Antarctica. We're excited to go. I just watched a really long cut of the doc yesterday with my editor, and it was fun to like relive it. There's so much stuff I don't eat my mind when I'm shooting. I do all this preparation to get there and to have batteries and be ready. But then when I'm shooting, a lot of times I'm like trying to keep a thing to block out the light around my camera, a big blanket. And then I've got headphones on that are recording 3 people because they're all mic'd up on different channels. And I'm listening to headphones, so I don't really hear what's happening in front of me. I'm moving around to what the
I just gotta let the people know that's what a gaffer does. They do the sounds, just to let you guys know. Because I know a lot of people are like, what you were saying when you say what's a gaffer? So
well,
just
a gaffer is actually the head of a lighting department. The sound guy would typically do it, but this was my approach. And being Antarctica, I had to cut a lot of corners where I would typically have a crew. So a lot of the movies you saw, I'd have like a crew on a small production, like $1 million production, just considered a small production. I'd have like in the camera department, you have a camera operator. I'm the director of photography, so I walk around light meters and thing. You have a camera operator, a focus puller, which is like a first assistant, a slate, second assistant. Then you have a gaffer, which is the head of the lighting department. He has a few electricians under him. You have the key grip, which is the head of the grip department, which blocks the light to make like shadows at certain places, right? Under him, he's got a couple of grips. So, and then you've got art department, props, PAs.
because I actually know 2 brothers that worked. Well, so they're the sons of a woman I worked for a few years back. They did the modeling and VFX for Fury Road for Mad Max. Those guys also they work hard, and I mean the things you guys have to do. Sometimes you have to think out the box. A lot of the things you have to do, it's insane.
The miniatures idea, I can tell you a little bit about that because I was sitting there laughing with my editor. I'm like, dude, they went on my website, and I'm like, I had no reason to go take anything down. It doesn't matter, but I thought it was amazing that you went to my website and then you're looking at the miniatures from a world away. And I'm like, of course, I would do the same thing and be like, this guy went and did this. I'm a skeptic. Look, he's got pictures of miniatures. It's in my face. They liked the miniatures. That was a really complex shoot in a lot of ways. Trying to do miniatures to save big CGI production budget that stuff costs. And then ultimately getting to the production and the director scrambling and cutting things that would have been really beautiful these ships and these little worlds that we were going to do force perspective. We only ended up using a small bit of it, but the idea and the research behind it was really exciting to try to pull that off.
Yeah.
But it's complex. That little plane, we had to build two of them. We built some ships. We had to build the ground that it sat on. I mean, those miniature things are very intricate, and it's kind of why I got into filmmaking. I used to love taking action figures and do stop motion with them as a kid and make it move. It's the alchemy of storytelling. Things just kind
Yeah.
of come together a lot.
Yeah.
Which is why when Eric Dubay and the guy on your stream with the Unreal Engine experience is doing all that stuff, it's like blowing my mind how talented people are that are not working in the business.
Yeah.
Like
No,
I would love to know those people. My last name at gmail.com. Because
Yeah,
that work is
I'll
amazing.
actually get hold of Heath Carmody, and I'll put you guys in touch.
Cool. Thank you.
So you're a big fan of Stanley Kubrick, right?
Yeah, who is that?
Stanley Kubrick? You don't know who that is? The director.
No,
You made-
I said who's like I meant like who's not a
Who's
fan of
talking,
Kubrick.
Roger?
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like his 2001 Odyssey. I've actually
Yeah.
wanted to do a breakdown of the VFX he's done, like the floating pen. That was an awesome one. I mean, when he sticks it on a piece of pane glass and then
Yeah.
literally have it looks like it's floating in 0G.
Brilliant.
Things like that. It's really good. It's out the box thinking.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's like the old Disney used to do it. It was a multi-plane animation. So the first plane is like the moon. Then the next level at a certain height is like the clouds and the mountains, and then the
Yeah, it's
trees and
painted
the
on.
house and the character. And it's amazing because the camera actually moves towards it while they're animating it. I mean, some of those old Disney animations are just, they're
Crazy.
better than the new stuff. The wonderment of it. Because we know it's drawn. Why not just, wow me?
Yeah. Now with AI development, it's much quicker and easier to do anything they really want to. I mean, they can deep fake anybody as well. So
It's hard to know what to even believe. Like I saw a polar bear on an iceberg with a great white shark, and I was like, this is crazy. I was watching this like yesterday, and I'm like, my wife's like, that's AI. I'm like, yeah, but how do you know? She's like, it's a great white on an iceberg with a polar bear. I'm like, okay, right, fair enough.
yeah.
So, like on strength of that, what do you think about as criticism on TFE footage? Do you think like we're well within us rights to be pointing out all these anomalies that we're seeing? Because we're getting a lot of flack from the Witsit-sided community, like
Yeah, I love it. I don't think anyone
guys,
should
like
be.
you're not truthers anymore because you're questioning this. You know what I mean? It's like
It's funny as I get emails, they're like, Flatzoid is he's talking bad about you, and I go watch it, and I'm like, this is great. Talk all you want. Like I think it was Enoch, Nathan from Behind the Curve was saying, like, he was in a live stream, and he was saying this is any conversation is good for the conversation. I think when it comes to a lot of the other guys, without being specific, there's so much invested time wise. They've built communities, they rely on these people, they were friends, and to have those people question them, like some of my friends do, and we laugh about it. I'm like, this is great. um to take it personal, I don't think it's not helpful to your cause. It doesn't reflect good on the idea that you're searching for truth, because I mean, I look at the other people on the trip, and no matter where you go on the scope of the fall off after, you've kind of been elevated. People want to talk to you, and the whole conversation is the point here. So you like if you have to tell people 1,000 times how you got involved in the TFE, like that's part of the conversation. Keep doing it because people still want to hear it. The minute they don't want to ask you that anymore, then you're left to these devices to either be sensational, to be salacious, to lie, to cheat. Like just have that conversation. You have tons of content from the experience. Share that, and let people dig into it. Like I sent some kid pictures. He was like, I don't care what it is. I just want the metadata. I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. I'll send it anybody if you're going to do a cool piece. I love the brilliance kind of like my favorite part of all this is the brilliance of what's coming out of people that want to just do stuff.
Yeah.
That really impresses me, especially living in Los Angeles, where there's this idea that people are very fake in LA, and that I understand that. But people are very brilliant in LA, and there's a lot of like when you're a starving artist in LA, you really have to pick your battles because everything means so much to survival. And it gets in the way at times of that brilliance being able to shine, and it goes towards the buck, towards the dollar. Well, if someone's paying me for this and you're exhausted and you're burnt out, you're working Fratter days, which is like a Friday, Saturday, almost every week on these shows. And so when the rest of the world is coming from their just creative experience, their questions, and they're like, why didn't you try this? Like, let me try it. I'm like, sure. What do you need from me? Like, if this is interesting, I'm definitely gonna like touch on it in the documentary. That's my goal. Flat Earth Dave is like, what if we gave you a list of 20 ideas, 5 ideas, 1 idea? I'm like, give me anything. Give me anything. Like the idea is if I can present it and if I can demonstrate it.
I won't be going to Dave for any ideas.
No.
Well, he brought it up, and it was funny because it was like something I actually had been getting in the chat saying was like, if you have, like if you have something you want to present, I think this is a good opportunity, at least because I'm feeling this windfall of the conversation. It's elevated people even talking about flat Earth. The the conversation where we were on the live stream, whether it's the green screen stuff or what Jaron said, that conversation is everywhere. My brother-in-law is noticing it. Friends in our baby group are like, dude, I'm seeing your trip everywhere.
Have you noticed all contradictions coming out of Jaren's mouth?
Honestly, I haven't watched anyone else's streams since we've been back because I've been so focused on the interviews I did with them and the minutia of what they said on the trip that I don't want to like get too confused. So when it's brought up and people show clips and these, I see them. I think guys should be allowed to change their mind, right? You can change your mind today because no matter anything you said before this moment, it's fine.
For instance, there's a clip of Jaren saying, who said that camp were empty? What kind of stupid person said that? You know what I mean? And it's him on video quoted saying it. Look, camp's empty while he's going around with his camera. What possesses a man to say?
The thing about that, I think the camp was empty when we first got there because it was all the Antarctic marathon people like kind of left before they were at the hotel before us. We talked to one of them. And so they got on a bus like a couple days before us. I was there 4 days early. I flew in the 9th. It was an opportunity to have a 17-hour travel day versus like a 25-hour travel day. And so I was like, yeah, I'll fly earlier. Will and Toon got there the same day. And then a couple of others got there like half a day later. And then it was 3 days of everyone else was like the 3-day requirement to be there earlier. Then the day we're supposed to travel, it's all weather contingent. And so when we got to the Union Glacier, the main camp, well, let's call that base camp, it was just us and the ALE staff. So it was technically empty. I know people were live streaming at that time because there was ALE had a Starlink set up in the cafeteria. I took my shirt off at that time. That's where I was like, oh my God, this is a plane. It's like Indiana Jones. My blood's pumping. I'm in Antarctica. I'm in this huge jacket. We bought all these like very warm microfiber, whatever these are, Patagonia stuff requirements. And so I'm like, get this shot. This is great. I'm going to put it on Instagram and then I'm getting off the internet. And then we had like a little orientation, the bathrooms, where to shower, where the cafeteria was, the quiet times.
I saw that on Mark Herman's 360 was showing that when you guys got off the shuttle there.
Yeah, right.
John, what do you think of the coon?
We just want to ask something. You know when Jaron came in there and you and Duffy was in front of your laptop and he was coming and it was like it sort of seemed like yourself and Duffy didn't want Jaron to see what was on screen there. Would you remember
When
what
was
this? When Jaron came in presenting inside the container when you guys were there and you and Duffy were on your laptop?
Was it me and Duffy?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you were all on laptops. McKeegan were on
Whose
laptops.
video is it on? Is it on?
Were on his
Darren's
laptop.
live stream.
We're in the
He was
cafeteria.
coming.
I don't think I've seen that clip.
Yeah, he was coming in and is
Can you
like,
get it up, Flats, for him to see?
Yeah, could you show? Yeah, could you show me?
it's quite interesting because you're like trying to figure out what was on your screen there.
I could tell you. Yeah, I mean,
Jonathan?
I was always dumping footage.
Hey, can you all
So-
hear me at all?
What seemed
Yeah,
crazy
yeah, I
to
hear you.
me- What seemed
Okay,
crazy to me was you'd all paid everybody, Duffy and everybody put all this money into it to go down to Antarctica, and you're all sat in a little blue box on your computers. Like it's like you could have stayed at home to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could touch on that. My time was spent on either interviews, backing up hard drive footage, charging the batteries. The battery charger was slow. I only had 2 ports and like a little dongle. My hard drive took one. I was shooting a lot of footage, so I just kind of sat with it and made sure things would back up. Oh, in this room. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's see what you're.
Yeah,
Nobody's
he was coming.
anti that. So, this is all our supplies.
Looked very uncomfortable there, by the way.
Very messy. If you wanted to take a
Yeah,
nap,
it was
I slept
uncomfortable.
underneath that table. Tried to get an hour in here and there.
Yeah, seeing-
McKeegan doing something. Critical think.
Will needs a haircut proper.
Jonathan's over here.
yeah. On
Hey,
this,
pause it. Pause it. Yeah. What is? Keep going.
He's gonna go closer. He should be able to see. Yeah,
Voila.
What are you doing?
Pause it.
there.
It looks like half my
That looks
laptop.
like desktop, but there we're trying to figure out.
Yeah. Can you? Is there any more way to see it?
No, that's practically all it shows there.
I think you know what I think it might have been is because the only time Will came over by me was regarding the drone footage. So, and I can give probably a good anecdote now that we're not there, and I'll explain why in any instance we were like, oh, better not tell people this. We had DJI drones, and before we left, Will was able to unlock his. So it's really hard to get a drone there, but we were planning on, like, me personally, I was like, if they don't let me take it, I'm going to disassemble the whole thing and reassemble it there and put it in like multiple. I'm getting my drone to Antarctica, but ALE was like, yeah, you can bring drones. Will told me, I'm like, that's amazing. So we get our drones there, and while we're in Punta Arenas, Will applies to DJI to unlock his drone, and they approve it while we're at dinner. And so it was so cool that I was like, I got to get mine unlocked. And what he did was he got it unlocked to go a mile high, and that's pretty incredible, right? Like a mile, because usually you go like 300 meters.
Yeah.
So this is really high, and I was like, "How did you do it?" And he said, "Because DJI asked you to show your permission, like how you have access." And he said, "Well, I showed my ALE permission. ALE gave us permission. We did a form for them." And I was like, "And it worked?" And he said, "Yeah." Like, okay, so I literally left the table. I said, like, order me a steak. We were at some restaurant. We went to one restaurant basically the whole time. Steak was so cheap and so good. I go back to our hotel to get my drone. My drone, I had like filters and things, and like Will's drone is like a smaller new drone. And I was like, I got to get the footage myself. I can't just rely on him to have a mile high. I got to get this. And so I go get it, I come back. I do the same thing. I submit my paperwork and I get approved. And the next night or that night, once we get approved, we're kind of joking, talking about it. We're like, this is amazing. They actually approved us. My drone is unlocked to go a mile high. We didn't want ALE to get upset and be like, no, you can't go that high. I didn't want someone to be like, hey, we're hiding shit. A mile. No, that's too high. 86 it, 86 it. And the thing that I thought was potentially a problem there was on live streams, some of the people were like, we even got a drone that's unlocked to go a mile high. And while I'm filming and hearing that, I'm like, oh shit. Like if it gets somehow back to DJI or ALE or someone, they might not want that. Like they say, if you want to have your plans ruined, tell people, because that's the way to ruin it. And so we get to the camp and we're flying our drones, and we didn't have them. They weren't unlocked. I thought it would have automatically updated. So one of the things we were working on was unlocking them. Now, I did all that on my phone with the Starlink that Will had. So I don't think that's what that was. I think what's happening in that video is we had already flown them a mile high, and I was showing Will the clips, and I wanted to keep doing it at other spots in camp. And I felt like like, so they watched over our shoulders, the staff at ALE, while you're droning, and the guy's like, he's like, wow, because you're supposed to keep a line of sight by their rules, and when a drone goes a mile high, you lose it. So he's
Mhm.
like, are you still flying up? I'm like, yeah, it's straight up. And I'm showing him, and he's looking, he's like, how high is that? And I didn't want to say like I'm a mile high, so my response was, wow, it's pretty high. And he's like, yeah, you can't usually fly that high, right? And so again, I didn't want to like draw attention. So I'm like, yeah, in cities, there's restrictions because plane traffic, and we had to call in radios with the airport. And so the guy's like, this is pretty cool. This is incredible. How I've never seen it this high. And I'm like flying. I'm like, me neither, hoping he's not gonna shut me down. And so I think at that moment I had gotten mine unlocked before Will, and Will had a little trouble getting his unlocked at first. And I was showing him just how incredible that view was. And I think if we're blocking anything, we just didn't want to blow up that spot. But it actually, I don't know what that is because it looks like half the screen
Yeah. That's what I
is
said. It looks
where
like this of half, and then it looks like I don't know, something.
if anything, I might have been going through some of these shots. Like what I would do after I'd shoot is I'd watch the footage to make sure everything transfers before I delete the card, and then I duplicate that hard drive onto a second hard drive. So I've always got this redundancy, and I might have one of the photos, but I would screenshot moments that I liked from each clip, like as I'm going through, just to show Will progress, like how cool things are.
Okay,
And I
so almost
think
like
speaking, Jonathan, my name is Neil.
Hey Neil.
Speaking of Will Duffy, are you in agreement with him and his idea that this is destroying flat Earth? Because just in my own little town of 15,000 people in Kentucky, my barber I just found randomly is a flat earther, and a random guy we asked to come over our house to help us design a house is a flat earther. So these people are popping up all over the place. So, I mean, I don't believe it's killing it. I think it might be helping it. But do you agree with him at
I mean,
all that it's done
I'm
anything?
noticing the same. I'm noticing the same thing as you. It's like the other day I was at UPS mailing like 5 things. One of them was there's stuff from the shoot, but one of them was a light meter, and it was wild because like the guy behind the counter, not the one helping me, we're talking about the light meter. They're like, "Are you a photographer?" I said, "Yeah, I shoot a little, but I'm a cinematographer and like a filmmaker. Just did a documentary." And the guy's like, "Oh," he's like, "I know you from somewhere." And I kind of going more into the story. I'm like, I was in Antarctica, and he's like, "Oh, that's it." He's like, "You were with those guys that went to Antarctica." And it was wild because I've been in this business so long. I've been in people's projects, friends' projects a lot. And you never get recognized, or people never are like, "Oh, I've really seen your work." And in that moment, like now the guy behind the cash register that is checking me out, he's like, "Oh yeah, we were all talking about this. That's like the flat Earth thing where the guys went there and all." You're like, "What's the deal?" And so to answer your question, it's like I guess it depends where you're getting your information and who you're talking to. What I'm seeing is more just because I'm more dialed in. I'm seeing more people wanting to have the conversation. I'm seeing a lot of people still undecided. And so everyone's going to always want to take the side that they're persuasive and that they're changing people's minds. I think Will's good-natured guy. Um, Going through the doc, he was very vulnerable with me, especially like revisiting his interviews now. Will's interviews are like over an hour long each because he just talks.
Yeah,
Um, Jaren's interviews are like most of them I scheduled 15-minute interviews. Jaren's was like 18 minutes.
Jaren can
Winston's was
talk too,
like
though.
But Jaren's
he
got a very
talks on some of the longer ones for sure.
but Jaren's got a very specific way of talking there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually had a conversation with him the other day about how people have like really like personally like attacked him, even his wife, and trying to like dismantle his marriage and stuff over this. It's I'm acquaintances with him, I would say friends. He's helped me out a few times with some videos and stuff. So it just to do it to another human at all is just horrible. What I don't care what you think of the guy, it's just horrible to do that to somebody.
No,
I agree.
people have told me stuff, and I'm just like, my response is always, what does that have to do with
Right.
flat or round? If that's the conversation, I don't care what hearsay you bring or what witness testimony you've said. It's hearsay to me. And my interactions with Jaron were he's a sweetheart. He got mad at me at the very beginning, not mad, but he was like aggressive on that stream where they're like, we have Final Cut, blah, blah, blah. I thought they didn't like me. But once I got to know him, I was like, oh, this guy's great. They were all like, even Toon, who was like very abrasive when I looked at a couple of his videos. I was like, whoa.
couple.
So I stopped watching anyone's stuff before the
Yeah,
trip because I
but-
didn't want to be persuaded that they were one way or
Yeah,
the
but
other
that-
type of
A
person.
couple.
That's thing
Not-
with Toon though. He's not going to be like he is on his videos when he's face to face with
No.
him on in chops.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've done
Or
a
in
straight interview
person.
with him. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, it's different, man.
Oops, what happened to my screen? No, he doesn't care about what anyone thinks. He's going to present things that he believes and he's going to leave it to you. He doesn't care. And I think he goes a little like if you're going to put so much effort into educating anyone about anything, a student, let's call it all that, right? For the sake of a metaphor, you should be patient, right? Well, Sung Zhao said, if the student doesn't learn the lesson and the teacher's at fault, right? Like you guys know the Art of War. He like killed the first concubine of the group because they were that experiment. They're lined up, they're laughing, they've got platoon leaders. It's up to the teacher, right? The teacher is responsible. So, and you can take that on the other side too, like the flat guys getting upset that people are calling them names and liars. Like it rolls like water off a duck off my back when people don't believe me or get mad. I'm like, I can ultimately just give you my testimony. I can answer your questions all day. I can't change your mind. I don't want to. You know, I want you
So
to believe what
when did you
ultimately you're
start-
led to believe.
When did you start looking into flat Earth? Are you newer or are you old like me since around 2016-ish? Or are you young?
Yeah, 2015 was my first Facebook post. The Earth is flat. My friend Jonathan, he sent me a website, and I was like, "This is crazy." I was into like conspiracy, you know, all the big things since like 2001, but I didn't even hear about this, right? And so I look at it as this site, and the first thing that really made me question it, and it took me like 6 months of chewing on it to be like, what the fuck am I looking at here? Was the pictures of the original NASA photos of the blue dot or the blue whatever they
As a
called it.
marble, yeah.
Yeah, the marble. Because there's like weird things about it, and I'm a photographer and understand how like lenses change perspective. But the more you dig into that stuff, the moon and NASA.
But that's also one thing I'm trying to get, especially the anti-flat earthers to understand. It's very easy to have a dolly system with a model painting of the moon, and they can do it in a dark room and pan it over to make it look like they're really orbiting the moon. It's easy to do that. You can fake it quite easily, actually, in studio.
I agree. There's a lot of stuff to fake it, but like, who panned the camera up from the moon, right? Who panned it or tilted it? What?
Yeah.
Right.
Or inside
like
the
they flew
cockpit
in.
with Collins.
Yeah. So where is
or
there?
like aluminum foil on the outside of the rover, and how did it even fit in the ship? There's a lot of questions there. So one is not mutually exclusively default to the other. So like the flat Earth side of things, like look, let's be honest. If you see the sun rotate around you, the chances are the perspective of that map you have to accept need to be redrawn if you're still going to believe it. So whereas this is where my perspective is like, take that Gleason map, that AE map. Some things are not equating on distances if that's the case, right? Something doesn't make sense. Are we in the center? How do you explain it? That's where I'm trying to spin my head now. Right?
Are you aware that AE map's a globe projection?
I am aware that I've seen some examples of what that means, which again, that comes back to like, we need a cartographer that represents.
The thing is, Will Duffy come out and claims all flat earthers claim that as a model. First of all, the map's not a model. Secondly, there's no globe model and there's no flat earth model. And the people who were pushing that map as a model are your Whitsits and your Dave Weiss and that. That's not us and most of the flat earth community. That's a localized group in flat earth that have been pushing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for
I think it's like a
monetization.
school of
They make
thought.
money off of it. Yeah, they push the map for money. That's why they push the thing. They make money off the Gleason's map, so they can't lose that. Dave Weiss
It's
has it
okay
on his
for
app.
it's okay for people to make money. I think that's okay. I just think that
Yeah.
their conversation needs to move forward. And then a lot of times I'm seeing the same conversation and I'm wondering, it's almost like it's a school of thought. I don't think like there's that joke in the flat earth world of like the flat earth society. Nobody that talks flat earth talks about the flat earth society, those three words. And it makes me think like idea is it's a school of thought, right? It's a you have issues with the current model, quote unquote, the current school of thought of what we live on. You present new ideas until they're challenged, until these can be proven better. You're still juxtaposing them. Like the idea we went to the moon and then those are the videos. It's like even the China video recently, it's like, come on, you put any real camera, you should have brought back whatever that camera recorded with a disc that has something in high quality you can look at, right? But it's like
Well,
pixelated Pac-Man.
well, thank you for answering
Mhm.
my questions. I got to go back to the family, and I'm freezing my ass off out here. So,
So like,
Nice talking
Cheers,
to you, Nathan.
cheers,
Neil,
Neil.
thank you.
Or Neil.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nathan's my best
Just
friend, so
says-
that's okay.
Cool.
But yeah, appreciate it. You coming on, man. And I must say, you seem like a guy we can easily get along quite well and just have a conversation. So I do appreciate it.
Okay.
There was another question. Are you a believer? Do you believe in anything like Jesus, or are you just
Yes. I believe in Jesus.
awesome?
Jesus
Yeah, it's
Christ.
something we wanted to ask. So you also believe like the Bible teaches the earth to be flat, or you just like McToon? Because McToon claims to be a Christian, but he doesn't believe the Bible teaches God created a flat earth.
Yeah, I believe I'm here to figure out, ultimately before I die, I think I'm here to figure out what I'm here to figure out. Like I think it was not C.S. Lewis, it was Twain who says the two most important days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why. So I'm not dead yet, so I have a long way to go. I tend to think I'm probably like not the smartest guy in most of the rooms. So by default, I like to ask questions. If you want to be as the king of kings, it
well,
seems like it's right
you're
there.
done by default as a flat earther.
Yeah, I'm a lot of default things. By default, I'm a gaffer. Sometimes I respond to friend. Sometimes I respond to asshole. Depends on who was calling me what. Context is very important.
Yeah. No, I think that's a cool thing to do. Should I Yeah, we just heard some gunshots. Trying to figure out where it's coming from.
That's important.
Yeah.
Where
Anyway,
do
you guys, we are. Oh yeah, we stay in the bush.
Bush, cool.
Yeah, we're like on the northern part of South Africa.
Cool.
So it's quite. Oh well. Yeah. Wow, that killed the conversation. Sorry about that. So, what is your favorite? What would you say is your favorite thing you would take away from this whole TFE experience?
This right here. My favorite thing is like having a platform and people welcoming me to be the person that gets to ask more questions and figure out, like there's a responsibility now that I have to communicate. I think there's a responsibility to hear people out if I'm going to be non-biased. It wouldn't be a good doc if I just put my opinion in it. And in fact, like the doc's really funny because there's a lot of comedy in it, and it's mostly a comedy of errors with me in situations where I'm like day one, I wake up and I slept for only like 3 hours, but I was super well rested. And I leave my hotel room. I'm room with McKeegan, our first night there, sharing the room, and I go out and I'm like, I gotta film the sunrise, and I talk to this little camera and I'm recording. I have these like funny conversations. I look back now, thinking like, what the hell is going on? The sunrise and the sunsets are strange. This is their summer and it's freezing cold in Punta. Um, and I in a lot of ways I'm like, am I the patsy on all this? Like I've got a compass. I'm still wearing the little compass, and I'm like, show you just a tiny little.
There we go.
little guy. It worked the whole time down there, but I'm like, am I the patsy? Is this like that Netflix show, a Jury Duty, where everyone's in on it but me? And I think I'm this
That was quite a cool
filmmaker
show.
filming myself, you know? That was a great show.
I love that.
It would be
Hey,
hard to
yeah.
tell that because of all the people around you. You don't know them, right?
Yeah.
So
It
that's the
was
thing.
like there was a point where somebody was smoking something that, marijuana, and I was offered to smoke, and I grow it and have it. And it was like, oh yeah, it'd be cool to smoke there and be cool to smoke in Chile. But if I would have smoked, my paranoia in some of these situations would have gone through the roof, because I'm very honest. I said it many times to my own camera, and I had many little moments talking to other people where I'm like, wait, something doesn't make sense about all of you. Like, is it me? Is this like Will? Am I the guy that's like the jokes on and the butt of the jokes? Because it did feel weird. Like, I'm flying down there, I'm going south, it still looks south, everything's south. I get to Chile, it's the sun. I noticed the sky as a photographer from California is different from when I moved from North Carolina. The sky is different on a clear day in North Carolina from Louisiana, where I grew up. I was born in Alaska, never been back, but I noticed these things about the sky a lot, the polarization. And it was one of the first things I noticed when we're riding, is like we're on this bus and the sky and the perspective of light seems different. Toon's got a camera on him. Right, the minute I meet Toon on the plane, he walks off, he's got a camera. And I had read the one video I watched, I had read comments where they're like, film all those flirts and get everything they say. So like the minute I meet the guy to say, hey, how are you? He's got a camera rolling and he's real like, direct. He's like, hey, how are you? And in my head, I'm like, this guy's serious shit. Like, he's trying to catch me like cursing or something. And I'm going to look like an idiot or a jerk. I got to watch what I say and what I do. And like, maybe that's like one of the angles of like me being set up here. Mark Herman even said to me, he's like, I'm glad you're coming. Like, I'm glad I'm going with someone I know. And it kind of resonated with me. I was like, oh yeah, me too, actually. How would this be if I just applied to a website or a random anonymous account, which I heard happened, wrote me to come on this trip? Like, it would be a little strange if I had a platform and this trip's happening, and good or bad, like, you just don't know strangers sometimes.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of that. Like, I have a lot of like suspicion as my nature. I think my contrarian beliefs, a lot of our contrarian beliefs get us to these points.
Well, the thing is, like with McToon, he's a very agenda-driven person. So he always has an agenda behind something. And that's why I say, if I had to not trust someone there, it would be mostly him. He's like the main guy that I would be like, nah. You know what I mean?
I think calculated is a better word, because I find that he's calculated, and that would give the idea that he's setting up. He knows the questions he's asking before an answer. I would find that if you look at his work, I mean, there's a lot of things about him that are commendable. Um, and I try to find that in everybody. And again, I went on the trip, and then my first impressions with the guy were like, oh man, like I told my wife in a call, I'm like, he's tough. Like, he's got a camera on him. I feel like he's got like a 10-foot pole, like keeping me at a distance. And that was kind of everyone to an extent, but felt so extreme. And it was only by like the second or third day that I was quietly sitting in conversations with cameras and stuff, and they were starting to ignore me and realize I wasn't going to engage in the conversation for the most part, just there to listen. That we started to kind of warm up to each other, and he would ask me questions about my thoughts, and I would kind of default to say like, hey, I'm just here observing and trying to see what everyone else says, trying to get it on camera. Like, show me your research. What does this mean? I asked tough questions. I tried to really like put it to everybody, but I didn't want to gotcha anyone. That was important, not to do it with the flat earthers. And the reason being is because if you watch Behind the Curve, it's a really malicious presentation of human beings.
Yeah.
It's
Quite
not
a
kind.
large misrepresentation of things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like some of the things that really bothered me about it, and they bothered Mark Herman because we talked about it too when he finally watched it. You know, like the documentary side of it is like you got these beautiful sit down interviews with like a psychologist and like an expert, someone else's expert, anyone that's there to discredit the flat earthers. They have a beautiful interview, great lighting, like they're in a room with like a backlight. It's beautiful, a soft light, a shadow right on their face, Rembrandt, clear picture, controlled. Whereas you go to Nathan Thompson, he's got two hammers and he's juggling a ball, talking about what he believes. You got Mark Sargent in this awkward relationship with his friend who's a female, and they're putting it up like he's like this kind of like lone guy that he's always interviewed with his mother. I just don't think that's fair. I don't think it's very kind. I don't think it's very non-biased. It's very biased in their approach. And I think it's easy to looking at my footage. It's easy to exploit someone. You know, I can exploit myself and make jokes all day long because that's low hanging fruit to entertain someone when they don't know anything. And I'm in Antarctica and I'm paranoid and I don't know these people and I'm filming them and I'm struggling to get cameras and gear together. That's easy. Like I can take anything out of context. Frank can cut a scene together where you got different lines and responses and nods. That's easy. What's not easy is letting people speak and letting them really unpack what they have to say and giving them the opportunity to be clear about it. I mean, it's you put a camera on someone, I get nervous. Like not this situation, but if I have to go sit in front of the ABC News and talk about a house fire, right? I'm in LA. I'm not nervous, but I don't want to say the wrong things. And then sometimes you do. You have these slips, or want too much to convince someone of something. And I think it's important. Like people had to have the in this piece and in any piece, they have to have room to breathe. There has to be trust in the conversation. People are going to say the wrong things. People are going to make mistakes. They're going to say space. They're going to say stars and planets. And I think a lot of times you have to go back and like try to find the agreement. Like, what do you think those words mean? Because in a lot of ways, you go to like the legal system, at least in most places, works off of a language that's not the English language, right? Legalese and Black's Law Dictionary defines certain things differently. So you apply that to anything, you really have to at the base find out what someone's trying to say and what they mean by the words. Because then you can have an agreement on what the words mean, and I think you have better context on the conversation at hand. So that's important for me in this piece. It's important with Sam, my editor, as we're going through it, is like I want people to look their best because there's moments where they are their best. And the camera may not have caught that. So we got to find the moments where they are and we got to present their ideas the best. And it's not important for me to have this moment at the end of the doc where it's like, look, we win.
No.
This
Yeah,
map is done.
that's also one I wanted to ask. Now, obviously, you can't really give details on the documentary, but is there a certain topic the documentary is trying to touch on? Like, is it like trying to, I don't know, catch the psychology of two different type of people, or is it just
Yeah,
trying
I'm
to say,
always trying to do that actually. I think that's human nature is interesting. What like why do you believe what you believe? Like I think that's every conversation. Why you guys have me here today? Why do you
Mhm.
believe what you believe? What did you see yourself? We've all seen from where we start and end up in the world to get to points. That the documentary is going to be on, like I said, the journey of nine strangers with two very different ideas. I want the takeaway to be I want people to be comfortable to ask questions, even if you're wrong. I have a daughter, she's 3. I want her to grow up to know that like there's no authority that has more knowledge than really any. We're all born on this planet. We have the information, the time around us. If you have a question, you should be able to ask it, and that person should be able to answer it. Or if they can't answer it, they shouldn't be angry at you for asking it. You should be able to ask questions.
Sure.
And so,
It,
I want to present that. I want to present what we saw. I want to present the schools of thought that these people believe and that others believe, what I believe, what I did believe, what I don't believe, what I will believe, that sort of
so,
thing.
Jonathan, where in North Carolina were you living?
I was in
I'm a
Wilmington, North
native.
Carolina.
I know the place. I'm
Yeah.
from Charlotte for the most part. It's where I was raised. So
Cool.
I was just wondering. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to UNCW out there.
Oh, nice.
I
Yeah.
just want to say I've got 2 super chats already. The first one said, just make elevation profile of your country or model. Thank you, Una, for your £2. And then a $2 super chat from Roy. It says, can we see Jonathan's passport and plane tickets?
Sure. Let me go. Yeah, can I go grab it?
Yeah,
I think
sure,
I had
sure.
a plane ticket. Oh, shoes on. Yeah, give me a second.
No stress, man. And if any of you guys have more questions, just hit us up and let us know. I do find it odd that he said planet again. That's the only thing that caught me up.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is, you have to remember, people have been indoctrinated from a kid to call it
Yeah.
a planet, right? And it's just it just comes out naturally
Natural
to
thing,
most
yeah.
people, right? So there's
Yeah.
so many people that are flat earthers that still say planet, and you're like, oh yeah, no, I meant to say this plane, or
I have
no.
to be, but I have to be honest. I do like him. I must say I do have
No.
respect for the way he's answering, and I do
Yeah,
think
he's not being defensive, and he's like it doesn't have his backup the whole time. Like he didn't have his backup at all, and that's why I actually am very
I'm enjoying this.
yeah. So am I.
Not too bad. I
And he is a
still
believer
have a
too,
question.
so that has it. He has that going for him. So
But yeah, it's quite interesting. There we go. He's got it.
Saab's gonna love you, dude. We
you gotta
can't hear
put
you.
your earbuds back in.
Yeah.
Here's one of my airline tickets, or it's like a little, I think it's a baggage claim that was in my.
Nice.
Here's a couple of more
There we go.
on the back of my passport. Is that backwards to you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
mirrored.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's mirrored,
Okay.
but it doesn't matter.
Wait, look at this.
Yeah.
I keep a lot of shit. Is there
So
anything
I ask,
personal on it?
so did you get any stamps flying to Union Glacier from Punta Arenas?
I did. Punta's from Union Glacier. Oh yeah, I got the Antarctica stamp. We all were able to
Okay.
get.
Awesome. There you go, guys.
And then let's see, where did I put this?
I mean, whether they went or not's never been our contention anyway. has
Yeah.
it?
You guys definitely went. No doubt about that. I don't doubt that. There it is. Woo. Fisas.
I just want to ask you a question.
First time
Jonathan.
saving a plane ticket ever mattered in my life.
I just
I
want
love
to
to
ask
say
you a
that's
question regarding flat Earth, Jonathan. Do you believe Earth's flat, or do you know it's flat?
Do I believe that it's flat or do I know that it's flat? I think as it stands, I think it is flat to an extent that I can't make sense of it. I can't make a sense of a globe. I can make sense of the sun spin, seeing the sunspots, and the flight time, because those are things I did see happen. Like the flight time from Sydney to Santiago was the same as.
Have you seen pitch data?
No, and I don't know that I would know what to do with it if I did see it. Just a second.
We can walk you through it. It's not hard.
Yeah, let's do it. The pitch data is like how the plane flies.
Yeah,
that-
up and down of the actual aircraft itself, whether it's going down, nose is pointing down or pointing up, right?
Yeah,
and its altitude. Yeah.
And
Right.
this is
We'll
exactly
walk you
what-
through it, but the bottom line is with this pitch data, right? Anybody who got on an aeroplane to go to Antarctica proved Earth flat. No ifs, no buts. You know what I mean? So all this palaver going down there looking at a light in the sky, you all went on an aeroplane and proved Earth were flat.
So here's my follow-up then to that, and this is where I start to get really interested and have questions. Because for me, I have to accept the things that I did see, which is like, okay, the sun that's going to be everywhere, seeing it in the sky. How do I make sense of like where, like if my shirt, if this is the, where are the continents in relation to each other and the distances actually at for things to happen? Is this the idea of the toroidal field and azimuthal plane of reflected sunlight that psychedelicism talks about? Is this like, the idea that it's a projection? It's not that my questions are trying to discredit you or prove myself. My questions are to understand and have a better fundamental understanding of if the plane is not, the realm is not round in the sense that we're like certain people are underneath, and the sense that it's in a universe that's spinning aimlessly. If that's not the case, I want to know what it is. That's where I'm seeking to find the answers now myself. And in terms of the piece, like, there was a mission with it being the final experiment to disprove the flat earth. And I think when he said flat earth, I think his idea is like that Gleason map, that school of thought, that UN map thing.
And that's exactly what I did when I debated Duffy before you guys went. I was trying to explain to him that, first of all, it's science, so it's not an experiment. And second of all, it's just a false dichotomy, because he's trying to pin a map as the flat earth model, apparently. But he seems to not even want to address that. He just carries on taking it as what he claims and just, I don't know, plays, how can I put it, his game of he won because he destroyed flat earth. But we find it really odd because flat earth's here and getting stronger. TFE has kind of backfired on the whole global perception that it's going to kill flat earth, because it's making more flat earthers daily. Like I even said the other day, one of the guys at work came to me and just started saying, hey, talk about flat earth. And he's like, yeah, he's a flat earther. It's like, yep, that's reality. And
Those conversations it's not gonna change too much in my opinion. I just think like that Gleason map idea from 1856, when I started to look at some of this stuff before we went, like the flight paths, I'm sitting in bed like a day before, 2 days before we fly out. It's late, it's like 3 a.m. My wife's like, what are you doing? Go to bed. And I've got my laptop and I've got Photoshop open, and all these like continents are like, I'm trying to like move them around. I've got a little ruler. And I'm like, how the fuck do you get from Sydney to there quicker without going through Los Angeles on a flat earth map? Unless I have to find this. Is it perspective? Is it the size of Australia? I'm struggling with those things.
Yeah, there's a lot of plane roads that actually are, like I said, don't make sense on the flat earth map and on the globe.
Yeah.
So it goes both ways. So
yeah, and I think to kind of answer the question of what I believe is like, I actually believe it's probably not good to make claims, because anytime you make a claim, everyone just wants to jump down your throat about it. I think you should make questions, because then you can have people jump down your throat and try to answer the question, but there's nothing wrong in questioning it. So like, am I a flat earther? Am I a round earther? I still question both of them. And that's what I'm getting on these live streams doing. I
So
have
you're more
way
skeptic.
more questions about the globe than I do about flat earth. Flat
Yeah.
Earth, the final experiment did have three things: the sunspot perspective idea, the travel time on Sydney, and seeing a sun circle me. Those are three things. I'm like, okay, those are three good questions, but it doesn't answer anything about NASA to me. It doesn't answer anything about like certain perspective that I didn't see us really test. I think critical thinks mass thing is interesting, but like, you got to really understand that on a really deep level and trust the science. So it doesn't also answer a lot of the questions that I have about the globe. So I don't want to make claims with anyone. I just want to make questions.
Yeah.
And then I'm weighing who's the bigger asshole, right? Who looks the worst, the amount of questions. And both sides are actually pretty nice to me, because I think I approach it that way.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you. I also want to say this. Everybody's asking, did you see the 24-hour sun?
Yeah, it didn't set. As a photographer, it drove me nuts, because like all I wanted to do was shoot. Like that mountain's beautiful. And then a couple hours go by, you're like, oh, that mountain's beautiful. And then that one. There was an interesting thing actually about it circling us, which was when the sun was towards the South Pole, which is like, so there's a bunch of mountains, the Rossmore Mountain, which is like the camp is down here. And then the one, there's like a glacier. I guess it's all flipped how you're looking at me, but the sun when it was that way was lower in the sky, and it was I was shooting my camera at an f14, which is so like on a camera lens, the more or less opens
Aperture.
up, right?
Yeah.
So the 14 is like closed down, like let's say like this, and a 1.2 or 2.8 would be like this. So I was
Yeah,
shooting
that's
at a
more like-
4.
It lets less light in because of the otherwise you're gonna
Yeah.
overexpose.
But when the sun was higher, I was actually at an f30 or an f22, which is even smaller. And when the sun was higher and my lens was smaller, that was the time where I was more comfortable to take off like gloves. When it was on the other side, I was cold one day standing out there trying to shoot 15 minutes. And I was like, I've never had to put the gloves on. And I found that interesting. And I actually found there was a little thing that Toon had that had these slits all the way around it. And there's a really interesting part in the documentary about that kind of touches on the light that I won't reveal it, but it was interesting what I saw in his results. And I'm not sure that it proves anything either way. That's not what I'm implying. I just found it interesting. I found it significant that we can measure the light and the intensity and maybe the close proximity of the light from how it projected on a little dial that had like a piece of paper that when the light's on it, the longer
it burns into the paper and it gives
the longer the light's on it. Yeah, there was an interesting design pattern that I saw revealed.
It kind of makes it.
The shape was interesting, but it was more like the intensity at certain times as they paralleled with my warmth or coldness or the size of my lens.
Yeah.
So there's interesting anomalies there. It's not all cut and dry. Like, it makes sense that the sun would change on size when it's setting if you're not focused in the sun. You have to be sharp enough. Like I could take this lighter and right here, it's going to have a size. Let's see. If it's in, if it's not in focus, you see the blur around it.
Yep, the bokeh,
it's going to have a little bokeh. Yeah, I think everything's like that.
I agree. And then the documentary, is there any time? Do you have a time delay? That you have to end it. Do you have to? Do they give you?
No, we're aiming for. I think 90 minutes. We're aiming for is a good time frame to like a movie. So general audiences will enjoy it too. There's maybe more people who join the conversation as a result of it on both sides. Maybe somebody with more knowledge than me can jump in. At some point in time, everybody's annoying sometimes. You know what I mean? It just depends the context. But
While we're speaking about McToon, did you see him stomping around shouting, "No guns, Nathan"?
I did. I was out in the bathroom area where we could like smoke and stuff, but I was not smoking. I was talking to one of the guides. That was a pretty cool guy. He's like a filmmaker. And I heard all the screaming because it started inside. And there was a couple of moments where there was on the trip prior where there was like some disagreements. And these are people that seem like they could get explosive, personal. And I heard it and I look over to the guy. I'm like, what's going on in there? And it keeps going and we stop, we're listening, and then he comes outside and he's like yelling someone's name that wasn't there. I think Nathan something.
Nathan Oakley.
And he's like, Nathan, where are the guns? And I'm like, all right, this isn't anyone on the trip, so I don't think it's a problem. He's got a camera and he's being followed by McKeegan, and McKeegan's really funny. Like we had a lot of laughs, just friendly roommate kind of talking to our kids and stuff. I was like, it seems like this is probably just a goof.
No, he got triggered, dude. That's what happened. Nathan asked him about his challenge. He has a $10,000 challenge. If we could use flat Earth measurements to find places on the map, and he did, and he never paid out. He's not going to neither. So
McToon or Nathan Oakley?
McToon. McToon was supposed to pay 10 out. Yeah.
Yeah. I should ask, LJ says, well, anybody there talk about not having live 24-hour footage of the sun?
Yeah, I've heard, I've had this conversation a bunch. I could get into it here if you'd like. There was a camera for Candace Owens that was a X4, the 360 camera that Mark brought and shot all the 360 stuff he did on the plane. So that camera, apparently in the hardware, the software, whatever, it needs to be connected to a cell phone as well as a Wi-Fi in order for some reason because it's a VR. I don't know why. They figured that out an hour or so into troubleshooting it when we first got there. And so the idea was to switch to Will's phone
Self.
and use that. At the same time, Will had a moment where he didn't want anyone else on the Wi-Fi, the Starlink, I think, because he didn't want to lose the opportunity for himself, having brought it, to be able to get that live stream to show what everyone was asking. I know it went for a little bit, and I know the two live streams he has are those 360 cameras that are watching each other that are different from the Candace camera. So, um, that's probably the issue. It's a trial by fire in those
Yeah.
situations.
Would
They
you?
should have tried it earlier.
Well, why do you think they didn't try attempt to do another 24-hour live stream of the sun though, once it failed?
They did. I'm pretty sure they did. From what I understand, that was kind of they tried to the whole time. I think the phone was having issues, which ultimately ended their live stream early, I guess, with the phone when Will did, or
Yeah, it
it
was
was
something like
Rumble maybe.
yeah,
Rumble
Rumble.
only had like a 10-hour time limit, or YouTube, you could only do 12-hour
It
streaming.
ended. Yeah, on Rumble it ended at 12 hours, but the thing is, they took the video down afterwards. They didn't leave it up there, and they didn't try attempt to do another one afterwards. So everybody found that also very sus.
Jaron brought up we had a conversation with Will and the ALE staff where they wanted to ask us questions. They were like flat earthers. Someone even posted Instagram, Twitter videos of us and was like, "These guys are flat earthers here. How stupid are you?" or something like that. So Will was like, "Let's have a conversation with the staff. If they want to ask questions, we're not all flat earthers. So let's clear the record and talk to them." So they had a panel, and I thought it was pretty cool that Jaron and Austin, I forget who directly, I think it was Jaron, suggested, like, look, you guys have Starlink now. Technology exists. I know it does from like surf. You can watch surf live cameras and rewind them every day and see what the surf was doing at any time. But he suggested that and proposed, hey, why don't you guys put a camera right on top of one of these bases while you're here? It's only while they're there that it's like the warm summer months. And the majority of those months are the 24-hour sun months. Like, put a live stream on, let people see it,
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, we didn't know people really held on to this. A lot of these people, they're really cool. They probably make over six figures for like 4 months in this place. From what we've gathered, they're probably making a lot of money. It's expensive to go there. And then the rest of their time they just travel, or they have like other adventures they do, or they guide. Some of them are guides on like mountains that during the summer in the south is a bad time to guide in the north on hikes, right? Or to take you ice climbing in Alaska or what have you. I don't know. So they live these interesting lives, and I think when you're there, there's a tendency, and I had this tendency, was like, I had the Wi-Fi at the camp, but I was kind of enjoying the solitude with my mind, even though I had very little time to like enjoy and walk around. I was always following someone. There's 8 other people, and someone's always got something to do that I didn't want to miss. So I'm constantly like doing that, or making sure all my stuff is checked, my batteries are loading, the chargers are slow. I'm making sure my cards are backed up so that I can get more footage. I have to delete cards. I have a finite amount of cards. Um, so it was like I was disappointed when we left early because of that storm. I think a couple of us were like,
Were you able?
I could spend a year there.
Were you at least able to document the storm rolling in or something?
Yeah, I got a time lapse of that, or like a long exposure. And I walked around and filmed it. I walked around and filmed with my little handheld camera. I set up my time stop motion, the DJI action cam, to get like cool time lapses. I walked around the camp. So like the day starts and there's a little bit of smoke on the mountains, like the night before or whatever, when the sun was at a different time and it was like 11 p.m. And so by the later on, I spent a few hours downloading footage that night in the tent. But as I come out, all the fog was like, or whatever it was, clouds are starting to like cover the sky more and more. And then eventually, by the time we check our gear, and it's like it's hazy, it's starting to get colder, it's getting windier. Um, it
So
was.
would you ever go back if you had the
I'd love to
opportunity?
go back. I'd love to go back. I'd love to go to the Arctic. I'd love to go back on a boat and hike or sled ride in and cross the whole continent myself. I think I could do it. Not alone, but I think I could handle it. Um, it's a crazy thing to say, but I'd like to do that. I don't think I'll ever get the opportunity unless I brought my wife and my daughter, which they wouldn't want to go at the current state of ages.
Hmm.
Um, but I definitely would. I would love to go to the Arctic. Um, it's another interesting place. And some of the things I've heard like Trudeau say about up there and Dave's doc and like the maps. My grandfather was a merchant mariner. He brought back a globe, like a circular one, and you open it up and it's a bar on the inside.
Yeah.
And it's got all the constellations written in around it on the like bar handles that you can put your drinks on. But what's cool about it is it's got a Tartaria map on it, and then it's got the four continents and the black rock on the top of it. And he got this in Asia somewhere. So, that's pretty cool stuff. I got a friend that's a pilot, and he always talks about this plane called they're flying boats. It's called an albatross, I think. It's got the propellers, but it's like the Indiana Jones. It's got the
Right.
big
Yeah, so you can
ski.
land on the water. Yeah.
He told me you can fly those things from like New York to Cape Town on one take of gas or one load of gas that it can carry. They use them for saving people. And, you've seen them with the LA dropping water.
Yeah, they
That
use
would
it
be a
for
cool plane expedition. Get a bunch of people fly across, like, and be in control, the pilot in on it with us. Not that our pilots were against us; they were all nice Icelandic. I think they were couples with the stewardesses
yeah.
because they just fly those routes nonstop, and they're pretty badass landing on ice. I don't like to
Yeah,
drive
well,
on ice personally.
yeah, because it's a blue ice runway, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's in my like here. It was a cool shaped ice. Like it's kind of scooped the way
Yeah.
like we get there, and the first thing that happens when we all get out is critical think is Australian, and I guess there's no ice or snow in Australia. He gets out, he's like, "Oh, this is ice. This is come and get my camera," and he takes a couple steps out and just slides sideways. Like, "Whoa, holy shit, what happened there?" He grabs his hat, He got a good laugh about it, so he knows I'm not teasing him. I liked critical think. He comes off very like curmudgeon-y, kind of like but he's actually a sweet guy, and he's got his beliefs too from what he does, and I think he should ask more questions instead of making claims, because then you get the dialogue
Yeah.
going a little better. You attract more important people, which are I think the important people are the ones that are going to like have the dialogue back. Well, okay, if the weight's more, how come this? You see, I didn't claim my weights or your weights were wrong or right. I'm asking you to consider another possibility of an example I've observed.
And
That doesn't
that's the issue I had when I was debating him the other night on his not experiment, because he ignores all the controls. He ignores everything else that could contribute to changing the weight as well, because his idea is, well, I got the results I wanted, so who cares? You understand?
or he's using the school of thought that he trusts. And I think like to understand someone again, you got to go back to those fundamentals. What's GCSI globe data? Like, let's do get that guy that does all those crazy, like, hey, the pharma company videos are doing that. Get that guy to do a deep dive on that product. Ian Carroll. Get Ian Carroll to do a deep dive and just tell us who runs it, where they're funded from, who the CEOs of the companies that funded it are, where the science is. Have there been any counter studies? Those are the questions. I think flat Earth and round Earth need to be doing that more, because that's life, man. People go to court over shit every day because they're both claiming the baby is theirs. One
Yeah.
person doesn't mind cutting the baby in half because they're like, cut it in half, I'll get my half. And the other person's like, no, let her keep the baby because it's a baby, and like, I don't want the baby harm. So might as well have the illegitimate mother have the baby, then cut the baby in half. You're going to win the baby every time because you're looking out for the kid in the most important conversation, the one right now. If you're protecting
John-
truth, have the conversation. The truth is the baby.
I agree.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to educate Globers on, Jonathan. They don't know what science is for the most part. The pseudoscience they push is the problem. Like critical think, that's pseudoscience. That's not a scientific method he's walking through. And
Can
they
I
don't
challenge you
follow
for a
it.
second? Is
Sure.
that a claim? Are you claiming that? Because then the
Well,
burden of proof is that it's my
well,
point is this. My point is I'm not trying to debate you. My point is more like ask the questions, present the questions to like that debunk what you're thinking and let him come to those conclusions, which is more like, hey, is this pseudoscience because, and then say why. The question, like, why is that pseudoscience because it's not
Well,
considering everything?
define pseudoscience.
Yeah, there
Right.
you go.
Define pseudoscience.
I'm,
Define real
well, I don't
science.
need to. I know what it is. I'm
Yeah,
asking
we know
you.
what it is. Yeah, we're asking you, dude. What is
Because
pseudoscience?
Well, I'm just
understand-
responding to what you were saying that he uses
once you
pseudoscience.
understand what pseudoscience is, then you can start picking apart what these guys are claiming as science. And me and Flatzoid have had a back and forth with critical thinking. Flatzoid's comments, and he run off because he's not doing science. He claims
No,
he is,
he's
but he's not.
Yeah, what is to you pseudoscience?
Pseudoscience is the claiming to be doing science, but it's not using scientific method.
Yeah,
There's one method, dude.
if you are claiming to use science with a belief, then it's already pseudoscience, because pseudoscience has no, it's just a method. It has no value for anybody's belief or opinion.
This argument, what critical think was supposedly doing in his experiment, it's an old argument that's been around for years. We've covered a lot of things that McToon and critical think keep bringing up over and over again are already arguments we've already dealt with. You know, it's just not science. They claim it is, but it's not. It's not even got an observed phenomena for what it's doing. That's first part. Observe natural phenomena is your first part of the scientific method. He hasn't even got one of them to start with. So he's not following scientific method, aka he's doing pseudoscience.
Yeah.
I think just doing a flight across Antarctica would be something.
Yeah.
If
Get me
it
on
was
it.
possible.
Well,
right?
I was thinking
The dirigible would work great.
because Roger wants to go back end of the year, and I was saying, well, if you do go, and I told Duffy this as well, wouldn't it been more worth your while to try and traverse through and look for the dome? You understand? Look for the ice wall, the dome, or something, than look at the sky and the sun and say, well, it's not going to prove anything anyway. I think that would have been more productive.
But I think we all I agree like that we should have done all that. We tried to go to the pyramid. They told us it was like a whole day thing. For whatever reason, we couldn't go see that on a flyby. I agree though. I would love to go searching for the dome. I think we can all understand why he feels very validated though also, because I know the heavens shouldn't be indicative of what the earth is, and I understand that logic. I understand Will's logic too. Like that phenomenon, a lot of people, that's what they're expecting on the globe spinning around the sun situation, proximity. So I can understand that him feeling a victory for there. And I don't want to, I don't feel like it's my place to try to deny or confirm people those things. Like you feel like it's a victory, it's great. You feel like it's not, great. I'm still going to ask questions about everything. And you know, it's going to change the way I communicate sometimes.
I think it's a bit different for us, Jonathan, because we've been in this debate for years. You know what I mean? We literally had Duffy on other night trying to misrepresent what Flatzoid had said. You know what I mean? There's a lot of dishonesty surrounds these people.
Yeah, I mean, again, do I want to even engage in?
I know.
I
don't want.
No, I'm
I
not
don't
discrediting you.
want
I
I
hear
don't
you.
want you to speak about it, but I'm just pointing out,
Yeah.
like we're a bit
Right.
wiser to what goes off with these characters.
I think that's a human thing, man. Like, I think that's just us. You know, we're skeptical. We want to confirm things. We want to try to. Do you want to live in a world? I always think, do you want to live in a world that's easy enough you can comprehend it, or more complicated that you're going to always be asking questions and surprised?
Well, I believe Bible, and Bible says we can't know all these things. You know,
I
I don't.
agree.
You
I
can,
don't.
yeah.
I personally don't want to know what moon is, and I don't care what sun is really. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in.
I have a
Well-
just a quick question. It just kind of came up in my brain here. What was the altitude you flew from Punta Arenas to Antarctica? What
Like how
altitude
high
did
the
you fly
plane
at?
went. I think it was like
Yeah.
35,000 feet. There's two. I had an altimeter, but someone told me that there's a pressurization of the altimeter. My cousin skydives, so I brought like a little skydiving, and mine was at like 35, which is would be 35,000 feet. Someone said that has to do with pressurization. The plane said it probably. I don't remember. I have video. I think it said like probably 40,000 feet on like the little back of the seat. Again, that's a computer. If it's a big deception, they just program whatever they want. But then Lizbeth, who is a flat earther from Clubhouse, that app, someone from NASA, an optical scientist, gave her something she was reading on her phone that showed all the flight data, the telemetry data, the plane, the
Yeah,
speed we were going.
it's an app
Yeah,
you
I
create.
filmed her using it, but it was just an app.
Yeah, it's weird.
So
Yeah, because she says she doesn't.
we were pretty high.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
can
because
say this because I'd say how high we were because when we were flying over and you start to see the ice below, I was on a 70 to 200 lens and I had a 35 millimeter fixed lens. And on the 35 fixed millimeter lens, the icebergs look like these tiny little things. But when I put on the 70 to 200, it's like exponentially larger. McKeegan had like a 600 mil. And you're seeing detail and shape. These were huge. They're saying these icebergs were like the size of stadiums that we were
Wow.
flying, which is,
Did-
you imagine flying over a city.
Did you attempt to do a nice long observation on the plane flight that way, like out the window, to see if how far you can actually see? Did you try to
Yeah, I
attempt that?
did. I did it with my drone. The drone video is interesting where the Antarctic plateau is. It kind of looks like it just falls off behind the mountains. It goes really white and it's not like a blowout white. It's like just kind of nothing there white because you can see the plateau. I'm looking at a picture, looking at this picture on my other computer monitor, but it's like a, let me see
Yeah,
if I
because
have it to show
you guys were on an ice glacier actually, so
Yeah, it moves every year. Let me see if I've got a quick drone screenshot on my phone.
Do you have access to, or can people have access to your drone footage? The one where you went up to a mile,
probably
After
after.
or
after
that could be in
after the
your
doc.
documentary. Okay.
Yeah, I can get the
When are you
yeah.
releasing your doc, anyways?
We should
I'm
be
not-
done with the editing in like for the main rough cut in 2 weeks, and then there's going to be we're thinking of some ideas to so there's a lot of complicated tests and ideas that both sides present. So we're looking at ways to unpack those simplistically, whether it's like a graphic or an animation. We'll have to do that, color, sound design, just to like clean up audio tracks. So I'm projecting like 8 weeks on a finish. We're in the 4th week right now. So probably 4 more weeks till we're finished, and then
We're
trying
looking at
to
Think about April then coming up probably.
probably realistically, if we can get, I mean, there's so much traction, and like I have like one TikTok had like over 1 million views, and I don't have a big TikTok. There's so much traction. I think we can entice a distributor. That would be the ideal case. Get it out as soon as we can. Let me find this image of my drone though, because it's significant, like what you see.
My name's Jeff, by the way. Sorry, I never introduced
Oh,
myself.
hey Jeff, you're like the moon. Let's see
And this
here.
is my mug for a second there. So
Oh, hey, nice to see you.
Yeah, he plays
Nice to put a face.
He plays Santa Claus in December.
He does.
no, I don't.
So does
I don't
Matthew
believe
too.
in that
Matthew
crap.
does. You, Jonathan, you should look into the cosmology of Enoch. That might help you wrap your head around what some of the same things you saw while you were there.
I think that's been suggested. All right, here we go. Actually, this might have been what I was showing Will in that clip. Very could possibly have been it. But I wouldn't have had the screen halfway. This is a drone shot from my drone, and let's see. How do I get
Beautiful.
to-
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
I want you to see on this side here.
Yeah.
It's blowing out to
Oh
you
yeah,
guys,
just
but
goes
it's
white. Yeah.
but it's not a blown out image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a 32 ND filter with a circular polarizer on my drone, so I could polarize the ice to see when the sun was right behind you. Is like water, so it polarizes like a reflection. I thought it was pretty interesting that kind of falls off there. Like you don't see
Yeah.
anything behind it, and they say it
Mhm.
goes up gradually for 600 miles towards the South Pole.
Well, the sky was very interesting. I mean, did you catch any of the footage where the sky actually, became dimmer around the edges or anything, or is it like with Dave
I think
McKeegan's
that's the
fade blue?
I think that's their 360 camera, just in like the stitching. It's not a perfect system. It's two bubbles.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything like that, but also I wasn't too. I mean, I've only seen people have kind of released. Like I said earlier, I haven't been digging into conversations they have, watching other people's videos because I don't want to get distracted. I just want to know what people have said that's in my head. So as I talk to my editor and look at footage, I'm confident of what we experienced. So I can like use that to guide the story and then build the bigger pictures around these ideas further for the audience.
Yeah.
Um, but
But
I'm
I have to,
pretty sure that was the camera that did that.
yeah. But I have to be honest. When we see the footage like that, what you just showed, I think, how the hell can it be a globe?
It's strange footage, for sure. Um, yeah, a lot of questions. You think you answer one, you get 20 more questions.
Mhm.
I think that's the conversation everyone, I mean, collectively of all the people that argue, if all the people just started like putting their heads a little bit more together with the questions and less trying to cut the baby in half at times, save the baby at all times, truth. Um, Not really worrying the conduit. You got some conversations. It's people are enjoying this. Maybe people enjoy fighting too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
There you
that's
go.
the drama of it.
Yeah. So any other questions you guys got? I think,
I think we covered almost everything there. You know,
yeah.
there's a lot of there's still a lot of skepticism around it all, and to me, it still doesn't prove a lot of actual observations and things that we see around us, right? So
Yeah. But like I said, I do appreciate you coming on, giving your time.
yeah,
I think it's really awesome of you,
You're
man.
welcome.
And I do
Anytime.
think you're genuine. So
yeah.
thank you very
Cool. Thank
much.
you.
I actually look forward to your documentary now. So
Yeah.
Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anytime. Anytime. Reach out.
When do you think we'll be seeing this documentary?
I think April's a good, if we haven't gotten attention by then, or accepted into maybe some festivals or something would be like a backup to sale. I think, Will might have the idea, like just want to release it in some capacity. But I think it'll be done pretty soon here. Like I said, I watched it basically over a 2-hour cut last night of kind of the string out of where the story is. It's fun. It's fun. I think there's ups and downs with the characters. I think I look a lot of times really ridiculous because I'm not really sure who these people are at the start. And by the end of it, we all like each other quite a bit, it seems. We're having a good time. And I think there's good questions asked, and I think there's a good conversation dialogue going. And it's can we ever really know everything? Is knowledge just alleged? Are we kicked out of the Garden of Eden because we think we know something? Or is this the Garden of Eden and we're only separate from it when we try to claim we know things? Who knows, right? Bigger questions at stake.
Yeah.
What was your email again? Sorry.
It's Mariande, my last name, Mariande at gmail.com.
Gmail. Okay.
Thank you for your super chat, Roy. He says, how much did they pay him to go down and film?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. We're over budget.
Yeah, well,
We
I
have
mean,
some
he had
work.
to
We have a
pay
lot
for
of
your
work to do.
ticket as well. So
Yeah. I wanted to go. Look, I wanted to go, and this isn't a situation where I like put in a bid where I'm making my fair rate for my time I've spent now since, I don't know, whenever before we left, from Thanksgiving in America till for 4 more weeks at least. putting time into this full time. I do other projects, little small clients here and there. So I knew I could sustain while I did this project. I really wanted to go, really wanted the opportunity to tell this story. Thought it was extraordinary, exceptional. I think more pieces will come from this. Maybe someone will want me to go to the Arctic after if I do a good enough job. Um, um, I think people will continue to hire me for other projects after a project like this. It's just it's
Good
interesting.
exposure. It's good exposure.
And it's good exposure. I mean, I'm loving the stuff with the community because I actually care about this. It's not like I'm talking about something like cricket. No offense if you love cricket, right? I don't know anything about it. And if I spent a year filming cricket and had to learn the ins and outs, I wouldn't be like going on to chats and really super excited to talk about cricket. Because like I guess my job's done and that's the job. Whereas this or a kid's film, I'm not gonna go talk about that. Can't find any interviews about like A World Away with those kids from the Disney TV shows. Because it doesn't it's make that movie move on. This I'm interested. I think that's why I was picked. I'll always love this stuff. I don't mind being right. I don't mind being wrong.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing to have. Not worrying what people think, and you don't worry what if you're right or wrong. I think that's a very good attribute to
Yeah.
have, especially today. So
Somebody's asking, I spent probably $600 on extra batteries and rentals. Someone's like a zillion batteries because I was so afraid we wouldn't have a place to charge them. I probably have easily because I can think offhand. I had more than the batteries you're allowed to bring. So you're allowed to bring 20 lithium regular size batteries, and I brought more than that. And then I had some V mount batteries that I rented bigger batteries that were 145 milliwatt hours. If they're over 160 milliwatt hours, you can't take more. You can't take them on a plane. At over 100 milliwatt hours, you have to have permission. You're only allowed 2. I brought 3. I had 4. I only brought 3. So a lot of batteries. I didn't pay for Starlink. It had nothing to do with me. Will bought that. Those GPS units are like $100. He had 8 of them. There's a lot of costs involved in getting us there. I got a great deal from a wardrobe company because I was friends with someone that worked there. His house burned down. I gave him some photos a long time ago surfing. He said, hit me up if you ever need anything. They ended up using the photos at the newsletter of the company. I hit him up said, hey, I'm going to Antarctica. We live in Southern California. I don't have anything. I have a ski jacket and like pants, but I need like 6 layers, 5 layers. They're telling me, can you help me out? And he gave me an unbelievable discount. So I got all these clothes to stay warm.
okay.
So yeah, it costs money to do this.
Obviously, and I think it costs
Yeah.
everybody money to do that. Roy says, for William Corp, he wants to call Jonathan a liar.
Cool. $2, buddy. Cash that check all day long.
And then the other
Keep 'em
question we
coming.
wanted to ask, based on that, though, do you think it's okay to deceive?
I disagree with that. I saw that clip. I don't know what he means by that. I looked into it in the Bible. 2 things I found. I think it was the Hebrews at one point were told by God to lie to escape death. And then one time from like Abraham's told to lie to get out of Egypt or something. I guess, and there's context if you're going to be like sweeping with absolute truth that, I guess you sometimes can lie to protect someone. I guess that is where it differs.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's what I try and explain with the Bible, with God's intent. He reads your heart, what's your intent. And when you're out to deceive, your intent is sinful. It's not protection. You know what I mean? It's not like you are doing it out of protection or something. So when it's deception, it's literally harm. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah,
I love that. I love that Charlie Chaplin movie where he's the great dictator and he has the speech at the end and he's like, the kingdom of God is within man, all men, you, including you, have the power to create, the power to right. That whole speech. I think it is within us all. Like God created us, God's made us. I think the Bible is written by man, and despite being a Catholic, and that's my faith, like that's what I believe, that's where I was raised, that's what my choice is. I also think it's probably an apostasy right now, like Mel Gibson recently said. There's men in control There's a subversion of power for some reason to go after the souls of little insignificant men and women. Why is that? Why do demons and angels do battle over the souls of man?
Mhm.
Right? Those are things in the Bible that man wrote about in those many books that we've accumulated and trusted other men to catalog. And so I think if it's in your heart, you definitely have to listen to that inner voice. I think you have to use your own life. Uh, and I know people will say, well, no, you have to, if you know Jesus Christ, you have an obligation to preach the gospel. St. Francis says, if necessary, use words. I think it's pretty clear. Like there's only one real law, and if you uphold that law, do you need other laws? Treat others the way you want to be treated, the golden rule. Do you
Mhm.
really need any other laws if you stay in honor? And if I don't claim you're wrong, because how could I without so-called forbidden knowledge, right? But if
Yeah.
I ask you why you think you're right, you're going to tell me more. I'm going to get better understanding of those words. I think
Yeah.
it's going to bring us to be friends like we are now.
No, I agree. And I'd love to stay in contact with you, man.
Yeah, we're in contact. We're
Definitely.
friends. Yeah. Anybody in the chat, feel free to contact. I've been taking slowly, emails are coming through.
So I think, the best to do is wait for the documentary to come out, and then we check
Yeah, then we'll
out.
pick it apart then. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
But do you have any questions or anything you want to say?
Tons. I'm trying to save a lot of it for the doc that I'm looking at. Yeah, I really want people to reach out if you have if you're holding on to something I don't understand properly. I want you to tell me that. I want to understand all these ideas. I'm making a list of things. Yeah, off the top of my head, I'm kind of in the conversation with us here answering. So my mind's not really like I could come back to you at a later time and be like, hey, what do you think
Yeah.
about this? Usually ideas come to me when I'm like in my, on my own walking or driving on my way to something. Usually inconvenient times.
Exactly.
It's usually like it's Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that was great. I have no further questions. I don't know about you guys.
No, I'm good.
No, I think we've.
And
That's right.
I do think I actually enjoyed this chat with you more than I've enjoyed the chats with everybody else. So
Oh, cool.
Now, there's a bunch of questions in the chat that aren't even worth asking. So
yeah.
Anthony
Email me.
did ask, could you get that photograph back up what you showed us and where it's sun in that photograph?
The one of the
Yeah,
Antarctic
the one that you
plateau.
showed us on phone. Yeah.
Let me see where the sun is. The sun is here. It looks like to the. I mean, I'm just looking at the picture like you guys would. I could tell you where the sun is because the sun's straight above.
Right.
And interesting. Make what you want of it because I don't know if the sun is deep or deep this way or close.
It almost looks like it's behind the horizon.
Yeah, I'd agree. This horizon right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, the geographic horizon.
Yeah.
That's a mile
Definitely,
high.
yeah, definitely behind the mountain.
And when I was filming, I actually panned up to the sun while I was filming. So I got a shot without it. Like Will does this beautiful slow 360, but I was flying like a maniac up there, like looking for anything I could find like unusual. I filmed the sun from the drone. I filmed left and right. I thought that was the most interesting spot. The video is pretty cool though.
That is quite nice. Now I'm looking forward to seeing that on the documentary.
Yeah, I've got some flybys and stuff of all the camps. You can see at one of the camps, I remember, by the way, while we're thinking about it, that you can't see the ALE base camp under the mountain from the halfway point camp. And it's interesting because it's like a slope. There's an airplane in a shot where we're at our camp. We're walking in the snow, and I was just like at a microphone. I'm filming Dave, get me like snow prints for sound. because it's different walking on the road than in like which is hard packed ice versus in the soft snow that surrounded where we were. So I'm filming that, and an airplane comes into land, and they let us know, hey, there's a whatever it's called, the little red plane, a snow otter is landing. And so we turn to film it. You can start to hear it like buzzing in the distance. And you're like, where is it? We're looking. And we pick it up and it like, let's see where the line is here. Right on my camera here. So it kind of comes in and goes like, you see it land under, and then it drives, and you can just see like just the top of the tail like this. And then it keeps, it's landed and then it disappears. And they're like, okay, plane's gone over the walkie. When I flew the drone up a bunch of times, I always tried to film like the main base camp. There's like a Chilean base because the Chilean army piggybacks off of the Blue Ice runway anywhere that ALE moves because they were 10 miles away before. So they just moved their base because they have a free runway maintained by ALE. You can see the runway in the drone. You can see why it's the Blue Ice runway because from the sky everything looks like snow that's been blown around, but the
Yeah,
runway is like bright, like it looks like a tiger like scratched the surface. It's massive, but from high up it looks like these long tiger or mountain energy drink
yeah,
marks,
that's
like
quite cool.
scratches.
And then would you be able to email me that photo so
Sure.
we can look through it quite nice and big screen. It'd be great.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Were you able to go look at the Chilean Navy's plane when they landed? Obviously, there's
No,
some
that was
people
that was
saying
our plane that
dates,
landed.
because obviously they're saying there's like different dates when they landed. Some say it was the 17th, some say it was the 9th. So that would have been before you guys got there.
What happened? Sorry,
Orion.
I'm looking at this
Yeah,
photo to send it.
It was a Chilean Navy plane.
Orion
Supposedly, yeah, an Orion or something.
P30 or something.
I don't know about the Chilean. You mean the Chilean airline we flew in on, or the Chilean
No,
Air
no.
Force?
The Navy themselves, they came in with the Orion P30. But the dates are odd because some people say it's the 17th and some people say it's the 9th. So it's kind of mixed up.
I'm not sure. We flew out, I think the 17th. I have metadata
Yeah.
on all the photos.
Did
All right, I'm sending it to you right
like
now.
when you go on ALE's Facebook, they're like documenting near on everything, but there's no were you guys on it.
When we go on Ailey's, what?
If you go on ALE's Facebook, they're uploading nearly every time something's gone off there. You know what I mean? There's quite regular posts from them, but there's no. Are you guys when you were there?
I'm not sure. You're referring to the tracking data?
ALE's Facebook page. So
on Facebook. I couldn't
ALE's got a
understand you.
Facebook
Sorry.
page. So the post regular, but there's no note from when you guys were there. There's before you guys, there's after you guys, no in between.
They might not have liked us because, like I said, someone on the staff posted video of us getting out of the Warthog or whatever it was called, the big black truck.
Oh, yeah,
And it upset Will, but someone was like, my friend's a staff at ALE, and just sent me this picture. How stupid are we to think that in this day and age, people believe the earth is flat? And they posted on Twitter, like, one day of us being there, we're at dinner and saw it. So it was obviously not someone with our group. So maybe they just didn't like us, that they thought we were all flat earthers. I don't know. But I mean, they were all really great. ALE was awesome. Their staff was super professional. The people in Chile were great. I think they're told not to do interviews with people because, the company just wants to keep a clean profile and it's easy to look stupid. Not a Freemason, definitely not. I see someone asking.
But you took your shirt off, man.
I took my shirt off, yeah. I got that photo.
Matthew Eastman, been a member for 26 months, says, does Jonathan understand the false dichotomy?
There it is. What's the there we are. Greetings from the White Continent. My friend, bro, you're supposed to take me with you. The false. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't understand. You know, a lot of things I do. I'm not sure what you're really asking. He's really asking by that question, false
Yeah,
dichotomy.
he's trying to ask, do you understand what the false dichotomy is? Like, it doesn't prove anything, in other words. But I think you already answered that before, so where
Yeah, I
you
think that's
agree.
kind of what we're discussing. It's up to each individual to kind of formulate and ask questions in this life on this realm. Like, what do you like? Ultimately, what do you believe? Where do you come from on your belief? Who have you spoken and asked questions to, and are they good questions? If you're just trying to prove you know everything to people, and if you try to prove to everyone how smart you are, well, I think you're going to pigeonhole yourself to not ever have people tell you what they think and why, because you're too busy focused on yourself, and it's probably gonna isolate you a little bit, make you angry, make you feel like a victim. No victims though. Don't be a victim. Make it happen.
Amen. I just want to say thank you, Jeff Conker, for being a man for 90 months. He says, the earth is flat. Yeshua loves us. Amen, man. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Janusz. Good to see you, man. This is an awesome photo, by the way.
It's
You
just
said
a
it's not going
screenshot
to-
from my iPhone, by the way, of a computer screen. So there'll be better versions
Yeah,
of
yeah,
this
yeah.
later to come.
Still looks amazing though.
It's still beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So
It's a
would you
crazy
say the sun's
place.
around here or there?
Yeah, I would say I think
Around
it's,
about here.
or if you're looking at my screen up, yeah, I think, because I pan up to it. I
Oh,
don't know
there.
if I have that connected. It's somewhere. I pan up to it. I think it was a little bit more towards the photographic left.
Yeah, that's I
Did
think
you
it's
see the shadows on the foreground mountains there? It looks like they're
Yeah.
up to the bottom right. And
Yeah,
that
that's how-
shine, you see the shine here on the left of frame, the white,
Mhm.
that's the blue ice. So all that reflection is blue ice. And then that little geographic line that looks like, yeah, that's the road from the blue ice runway to camp. And that road also splits off and comes to halfway camp where we are, where I was directly up at, or it goes away towards the base camp. And then if you went kind of directionally top left of that road, that's where the Chilean base is.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. What's up, Janusz? How's it going?
It's not talking.
Yeah, brilliant question, Janusz. Great. Usually he's very talkative.
I know.
Is that someone
So,
in the chat, JK?
Janusz, yeah, he's
Yeah, I'm
come
here.
in.
Sorry, I just
There we
went to food. Hello.
Hello.
If I missed the question, could you please ask again?
What?
Me?
Yes, because I don't know what happened. So I know you were
Oh,
talking
we were
about
just
me.
saying, I think he was just saying hello to you.
Yeah, we were.
Asking how you doing.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. I'm great. I'm always great. Thank you for asking.
That's good. Do you have any questions, Janusz? Because I know he's got limited time as well.
Okay, I've just popped up. I don't even know what you're standing on the flat Earth, globe Earth. I just have no idea. I just pop up in the chat.
But you can ask a question that's been asked again. It's okay.
Okay, so what do you believe in flat Earth or globe Earth?
Yeah, I think we were talking like, and I had this kind of realization too. If I start making claims one way or the other, I start to close down the conversation. And I think that while seeing the midnight sun spin 24 hours and the flight path of Sydney to Santiago and the solar sunspots, I think those are good points towards the AE map not being accurate. They're significant, right? At least for me as a witness of what I'm pretty sure, you guys understand we went. If you don't believe we went, that's up to you. I went. What I saw seems like that map isn't accurate. I also think that NASA, the moon landings, most of the stuff pertaining to the globe sound pretty ridiculous. And so I don't think by just the three things that I saw in Antarctica are by default prove the Earth is a globe. So I would say I'm trying to figure out right now, despite those three things, thinking that it makes more sense by the debunking of the globe that we're not in this grand universe somewhere. I think that's a more important thing than the actual flatness, right? We're not in this grand universe spinning endlessly through galaxies and things like we're told. And if that's not the case, then what is it? Will we ever know? The documentary, I think I try to present everyone's side of it, and I try to let people make their own decisions because ultimately, what I believe is still, I mean, it's always going to be pretty undecided. I'm going to have facts on one side, I'm going to have falsities on one side, facts on the other side, falsities on the other. I want to keep asking questions because I want to know why people believe maybe what they're believing. I think the proximity of the AE map has major issues. It's plain and simple. From Sydney to Santiago, it's doesn't work on that map because from Los Angeles to Santiago, it's the same distance of time. Why is that? The sun spinning around the head, is it the real same sun? It seems like it. We followed it all day when we flew from Chile. Why is that? What's this all mean? So I would say I'm still asking questions. I'm still trying to figure out what everyone believes to better formulate what I believe. I don't want to shut down one side or the other by saying true or false. I think the documentary is going to present a fun story of people trying to do that. And I think ultimately you're going to take away, either you're going to learn some things they believe and why, you're going to learn some things other people believe and why. And I want people to ask their own questions to come to that conclusion, what you see. So it's important for me to ask people who believe things that weren't asked now what they believe, so I can try to make references and set that up accurately. I
Yeah.
don't
So,
want anyone to not have the information.
Okay, I have.
so I,
Thank you for
so I
answer.
think,
Appreciate it. I just have
so
a
I,
quick one follow-up question. Did you ever consider that, let's say that people believe that there is 24-hour sun? So do you take under consideration that 24-hour sun can be as well on the flat Earth map, on flat Earth?
Yeah, I think it could. I mean, I don't know how. I think anything's possible. I think it could, and that's probably why I'm still asking questions, because there's a lot of things on the globe side that I have trouble with, that don't make sense to me. I don't understand the belief systems, or I just flat think they're bullshit. And could take a lifetime to try to unpack. But the Gleason map has major issues. It's just not accurate. But is that to say the proximity is wrong? I don't know how they would be right, but I do think, look, seeing what we saw, like there's issues. There's major issues for that. And again, that was 1856 or 1890. That's an old map. And let's get a new map.
I think you're on the good way, because you said that the moon landing and so on were very questionable. So for me, I come with the default approach. Whatever so-called science claims, so-called governments claim, I always say it's
Do
not
the
right.
opposite.
Exactly. And I look into it. So I think
I,
it's a sane approach.
yeah.
Then
It's the
if
same. It is the same approach, because you're not setting yourself up with the burden of proof by asking questions. The minute you claim something, you have to prove it. And I don't have proof other than my own witnessing of things. But when the government tells me butter and meat aren't good, I'm like, I'm going to eat more butter and meat, because when I've followed them in the past, I've seen issues, right? Like you have the writing on the wall. They're claiming one thing, and that's the problem with making claims. If they didn't claim that and instead they said, like, you know, have you eaten butter and noticed the problem, and studies we've show this, do you think this could be you? Then I'd be like, oh, the government might care about individuals in meat, in food, like in health. Maybe I'll look into it. But by just telling me, like, you're the government organization that says XYZ, I'm going to tell you to fuck off, because so many
very
times you've
sane
led
approach,
people
appreciate it.
astray. Yeah. And
I'll
we've
tell
done
you,
you
eating butter and meat is
yeah.
great.
I love butter, and I'll eat butter with meat as my
Oh
only
yeah,
meal.
butter on the
Every
meat.
meal.
I'm a
Beautiful.
carnivore. I'm doing the carnivore diet. My wife and I have been doing it since October, and I've lost
Oh,
like 45 pounds. My wife has lost 50. It's been awesome.
I did it
Awesome.
for 72 days a couple years ago, and I lost 28 pounds. I was 209. I got down to like 183 or something. It was amazing.
Yeah,
I can just
I
tell
got
you
up to
guys,
280.
just become a spray paint, you'll automatically lose the weight.
Sweat it out.
Climbing ladders.
Yeah, I do about just walking spray booth and out about 25 Ks a day.
It's a lot of
It's
work.
quite a lot. So, yeah, I actually wanted to ask something, but you asked, and I forgot what I wanted to ask.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. I've wanted been asked it a few times, but I keep forgetting. So it's probably not that important. Could they have faked the sun if they wanted to?
It would have been hard to fool me. I mean, I had like solar filters and things. Like, I was fully prepared for that fuckery, especially in ALE. I was like, how are you guys trying to do this? Like, you're not going to fool me. You're definitely not going to silence me. If you watch my Instagram or my socials, all it is just shit posting and memes and calling, questioning authority. And not in, I think, in a bad, negative way. I'm just like, I'm allowed to question authority. I'm allowed to question things, right? Like,
To be honest,
that
you're
said,
obligated to question things.
yeah, you are. You're obligated. Like, and I mean, like, anything you want to talk about, like spraying the sky or jabbing kids, like whatever you want to talk about, like you should be able to question it. There's differences, and faking the sun, you'd have to kill me. There's a point on the plane where Will made a funny joke. He's like, if this plane goes down, it would probably secure the flat Earth theory in history that we were like taken out on the way there with these flat Earths. We're like on the plane. He's making a joke, and yeah, I mean, it would have been hard to fool me with the studio because I would have to be. I'm going to Antarctica. I wanted to be in Antarctica. I was like, this is cool. I want to see it. I can't come home and then be part of this deception. I couldn't live with myself as like being someone that lies and then tells my family like, oh yeah, that's it was real. I couldn't live like that. So you'd have to kill me. I welcome you to try. I'm not scared of death because I'm living the life I think I'm here to live. Doesn't matter how long. I'm gonna use every moment, and I'm not gonna live in any fear. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
work to evil ends.
and like you said, you live as a Christian, and as that we live for truth. So why would you want to be deceptive?
Yeah, I'm not here to like paint anybody's picture of what this is supposed to be. I think the creator does the job.
The problem is, Jonathan, and I'm not accusing you of being a liar, but how do we know you're telling the truth?
That's a good point.
You know,
That's a good question, yeah.
that's where we're at, isn't it? You know, and as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
I'm none the wiser whether there's a 24-hour sun. I'm no wiser.
We're more
You
confused.
won't be. You have to go. You won't be.
I'd love.
You have to know
I'd
the
love to
fruits
go
of
there,
my. Yeah, you'd have to. The only way you'll know if I'm a liar is to see the
Yeah.
fruit that it bears from my work, or to go there.
I'd
I don't
love
know
to
if
go live,
NASA's
but
telling the truth unless I go to the. If I went to the moon, if Elon wants to send me to the moon as like the flat earther, people on both sides generally I'm having good conversations with. So if I'm the guy and a couple of us need to go to this so-called moon and take a so-called space trip and that's real, I'm all for it. I'll go tomorrow. You know what I mean? But even if I do, people are still going to say, "Well, you didn't go." Like
Well,
that's how you know it's fake. And
you'll be like breaking the natural law if you go to the moon. You know?
Yeah, but
and I'll be
but I mean,
saying it to people too if I don't get to go. That's why I want to go.
have you ever watched the program Space Cadets?
No.
Do yourself a favor and watch Space Cadets. Type it in. YouTube's got all the what's as well. They actually fooled people to think they're going to space. They took them and they went through a whole process and they ended up choosing the astronauts and they trained them and everything. They took them to a
fake Russia,
everything. They planned. They even put them in a simulator to make them think they went to space. They believed it all.
Wow. That's sort of like what I was expecting was going to happen with me. I was thoroughly like, I wasn't expecting us to get on a passenger airliner with extra seats to fly down there. I was expecting like a jumpsuit seat in a cargo plane. I was expecting all the food they're flying in to be in the middle. That's what I'd read. That's what I'd heard online from some of these other places. So I didn't know we'd come on like a legit airliner. But that's life, man. It's going to be everything. You know, I don't want to live in that. I don't want to live in that dichotomy either. I want to
Mhm.
believe in things, and I believe in people. And I think like it's not going to change my life if someone is lying to me or is telling the truth as much as if I'm lying to people or telling the truth, because I'm not going to be able to tell with another people. But for me, you live with it. And yeah, some people are sociopaths and can do that. You know.
I see
Yeah,
that
and
you are
I'm, and I,
pushed. I
and I
see that
want
you're
to
pushed. Okay, go on.
I just want to point out again, we've been saying this the whole time. It doesn't matter if there's a 24-hour sun or not. That's not the thing we're trying to point out. We're trying to find why is there so much deception and lies with this whole thing from the inception. Um, so that's all we're on about. We don't care if there's three
I
suns.
think both sides should want to know that, and it's a little suspect at times. Anyone that doesn't question, like there's that comedian, like you don't believe in any conspiracy theories, none. Like there's tons of conspiracies.
That was I think so.
So it's
Joe
just
Rogan
people getting together
was saying
for
that before.
manipulation.
Uh, com-
Yeah, that's a
com-
good point.
yeah, and Comfort Homie says, "What first convinced you of the Earth is flat?"
Blue marbles pictures on a website my friend sent back in 2015.
The one that said
They
"sex in
just
the clouds."
Well, I didn't even notice all that. I didn't notice like they had the hurricane on it twice. To me, it just didn't look like photography. I'm a photographer and cinematographer. I obsess about film and filmmaking, the process of all that. And when you see something that looks kind of cartoonish, you're like, I've never
Mm.
shot anything that looks exposes like that. I mean, I always think of exposure.
But I mean, as a cinematographer, you also understand that you are able to take a film camera, and they can fake the blue marble. They can easily have a model and take a film camera and take a photo and make it look realistic. It's very
Anything.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah, you can do any miniatures. Like in my film, we did a tiny plane. It's often like Lord of the Rings was great with forced perspective. The
Mhm.
genius of Peter
Oh,
Jackson
that
to
was
put like
brilliant.
him closer and him further, and then build the deception.
But you know what was awesome about that as well? You know the scene where he's got Bilbo Baggins and they're sitting with the table and they have to pan the camera? They literally had
Yeah,
to build a special rig that they
yeah,
could pan it while they're panning away to give that forced perspective looking the same. You know,
yeah.
that's like really cool.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. And we can be fooled. People are fooled. We want to trust it, you know.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I have provided for you 2 links because I think
Oh, I
you
see. Okay.
mentioned that you're a Christian. So I don't know
Yeah.
if you are aware of the Masonic deception with the King James Bible. Which majority of Christians claim that it's the best Bible. I say not because it's Masonic Bible. Each king has to bow to Pope and Vatican. And Vatican, from perspective, with my vast research for many decades, uh, I
Yeah,
get the
the
conclusion.
Catholic Church,
Yes.
although it is my church and my faith,
Mhm.
it's currently an apostasy.
Yeah.
I was saying that earlier, like Mel Gibson said. I tend to like the teachings of the pre-Vatican II Council. I think Hippo and Trent had some interesting developments. I think Martin Luther made some good points. You know, like I like St. Augustine, Bishop Fulton Sheen.
Exactly.
Um, those guys, they when I see videos of Fulton Sheen, if you don't know who he is, man, those are some powerful ones. We're just all humans, you know what I mean? There's a purpose. I think it's like if we never left the Garden of Eden, could it be we're still there? And if we're still there, what were we allegedly kicked out for? For believing in so-called knowledge, right? To know alleged, right? So for knowledge, the forbidden fruit. So like, could that alleged knowledge we think we're not in the Garden of Eden? Could this just be Disneyland right here? Could we be in it every step we take? And if we are, what's getting in the way? Thinking we know stuff? Maybe we should stop thinking we know stuff and come childlike and ask questions like a little child. Why do you
Yes,
believe what
like
you
God
believe?
commanded.
What is the shape of the world? Maybe we stay in honor and we treat people the way we want to be treated instead of claiming they don't know things or claiming we know things that is
So
contradictory
I
to
see
them.
you're as well an anarchist. Am I correct?
An anarchist?
Yeah.
No, I think I'm more of a friend of the court. I like to stay in
Okay.
honor,
Okay.
which is like there's this there's a guy, I am Batman 57 on YouTube. We now have Skype. friend of mine for some years. He talks about communicating in this world, in courts and otherwise. He's got some interesting philosophies with Jesus Christ, goes back to Pontius Pilate, and their communication at before the crucifixion on trial. I tend to believe I don't want to make any claims anymore. I don't want to be identified as a type on a team, as a person. I just want to be as king, right? Who's the king of the kings? Christ. So if I'm going to be as the king, what's the English word? Asking, ASKING. So I'm going to ask questions to stay in honor instead of responding with a claim and saying, yeah, I'm a flat earther. I'm going to say, well, why are you a flat earther? Yeah, that's the ultimate end of the question, is we want to figure out why people believe what they believe. I don't believe I know anything, not any good ideas that can't be proven wrong at some point. So why claim them and be decisive and say, oh, I am Catholic? Like I am, but you know, I got to be more specific. And
I can tell
I'm
you one
not
thing.
criticizing non-Catholics.
I can tell you one thing. I'm 100% sure that Earth is not a globe, but I am 99% sure that the Earth is probably flat, maybe slightly convex.
Yeah, that's a good place to be on anything, is like mostly, but not completely, and non-confrontational. You can believe what you want. I'm with you. I think the globe, most of the things for the globe don't make any freaking sense. Without it, when they do make sense, they're usually argued in a way that I have to rely on hearsay. Oh, this secret knowledge, or this this special computer takes images without an exposure. You can come in, my daughter. Um, I think you're expected to believe what other people say you should believe. So
From my perspective, I don't give a FCK what other people think about me. So I'm the one. I'm trying to be with God, and people won't give me the way to heaven. Only God can do it.
Well, they only can if you let them, right? Got to invite a vampire in, and can't come in and take
you. Yep, adrenochrome, other
so,
stuff. Yep.
Like that's the whole thing. Is like you only scare me with death if I'm afraid of dying and losing something, but I'm not going to take anything with me. So why am I scared of holding on to all this?
I am not scared.
I'm going to lose everyone I love. They're going to lose me. That's a tragedy. I don't want to waste any time thinking about it.
From my perspective, I'm not scared of death because I'm waiting for the time when I finally go back home.
Amen.
Yeah, go back from dust to dust, right? Go back. The spirit goes back to whatever this all is.
Yeah. So because you're Christian, that's for you, especially for you. But the 2 Samuel 11 from the William Tyndale's Bible, as well known as a Matthew Bible, and then you have comparison with the King James Bible. So you can check, really see which word has been replaced. Phrase flat Earth.
Yeah, I like to do stuff like that. Cool. I'd like to learn Greek so I could read it, in Greek.
It's hard. I've been trying to learn it. My wife is Greek, so it's not easy.
I like languages, but it's complicated. Yeah, I've looked at it.
Who's your favorite? Who would be your favorite director of all time?
Kubrick.
I mean, I love Mel Gibson. I love Braveheart. That's probably the movie that made me want to be a filmmaker.
Are you dumb?
I love that movie. I love the message, self-sacrifice. Danny Boyle. Love Danny Boyle. I loved The Beach for so long because that movie is the journey story. The first half of that movie, me and my cousin loved that film. So that's one I watch those quite a bit. I used to watch it a lot more than I do now. Kubrick, of course. Scorsese, Coppola. Goodfellas is a great film. I could watch that. Casino. Ray Liotta is great in Goodfellas. Tombstone's great. Val Kilmer is amazing in that.
Do you still find
it's hard? It's always hard to quantify, with who you're talking to, too. Best comedy of all time, like Dumb and Dumber or what, or
do you still have enjoyment in watching films, or you are like some people, like me, for example? When I watch video or film, I watch underlying agenda, what they are showing, this stuff, how to program me, or you still enjoy it?
Yeah, I look at that too. I like to be entertained. I like how movies are made, so I like to watch movies that I've already seen. Um, and to be honest, like we just watch a lot of home reno shows in my house. Like that's kind of where we like relax at the end of the day. We just like after dinner we put it on. We sometimes jump on our phones, check in on the socials, my wife and I. But for the most part, like we'll get into shows. Um, they don't do. There's something different these days. Everything's got either an agenda. They're not just fun. They're not. They used to make you feel. I don't know. You feel like even in Goodfellas, like you love Ray Liotta. You kind of want to be a gangster just because you see the bond he has with people that care about him. It's a story about family. It's like The Godfather is a story about family. Like they love each other. That's the bottom line. And usually there's a tragedy like Braveheart. They take his wife. That's it. Going scorched earth. Right. You try to shoot the president. Look at what Trump's doing. He's going scorched earth. People identify with that, right? Love lost, love taken. Um, So, depressing movies, horror films, don't watch a lot of them. I don't need them.
Yeah.
I don't need to
Yeah,
be scared.
I'm not really a horror film fan. I love my war movies, the war dramas and stuff. I do like action and I do like comedies. Depends what I'm in the mood for.
War can be good if it kind of sums up that whole I love not the arrow or sword, but that which it defends. As long as war and most good war movies are like presented as just war, or else we
Yeah.
wouldn't get behind it.
Well,
There's not like a
yeah.
war movie about like Japan torturing people and it's like a horror film. And there's 721 Project.
Yeah, because I like things that are like kind of based on history, like Hacksaw Ridge and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's something I enjoy.
Heroes for sure. Humans doing extraordinary things is what makes a great story,
Yeah. And Royd's in a super chat. He said, "Who is Jesus Christ to Jonathan?" Thank you very much.
He's the guy that's paved the way to show us that he's the way, the truth, and the life. But in reality, he's the one that spoke with Pilate, stayed in honor, and said, "You're looking at truth. You said I'm the King of the Jews. When did I ever claim anything?" Right? They crucified him while he's being crucified. Guy next to him's a thief. Guys next to him's a thief. He's like, "We're going to be in paradise today. Anybody can be forgiven." He's telling all that. He rose people from the dead. Right? He fed the multitudes. Faith like a little child. He says, "Come like little children to me. Let the children come to me." He walked on water. He performed miracles. Who is he to me? Who is he to anybody? I think he's my North Star.
Well, so you'd agree with John 3:16?
I like John 3:17 better, but I like John 3:16. But John 3:17 is where he says, "I came to show the way, not to condemn the world." Something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's the light of the world. 3:16, but he came to show the way, not to condemn anyone.
No one can come
Didn't
to
he?
me except through my Father.
Right.
Whoever does not believe in shall perish, but not have eternal life.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Cool.
Great
Guys,
answer. I like it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Well, I don't think we need to drill you anymore. But I just want to say,
anytime though, let's do it again.
yeah, we should definitely have another conversation time. I think it's really awesome.
I'd like Jonathan to come on and we go through some footage and point out the anomalies that we've found and see what your thoughts are on it.
Let's do it. Email me. Let's set it up. Maybe
cool.
this week.
Yeah, throw your email on the private chat. I would like to send you some info. Maybe you don't know about something. Maybe you will learn something new.
Yeah, there you go. Mariande at Gmail.
Couple minutes. Cheers.
Make sure you spell my name. It doesn't autocorrect because it sometimes changes my name to the spelling of marinade.
Okay, I never use correction. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, okay. Yes, shoot me. Email. Yeah, I mean, could this be everlasting life? I've never died. So who knows? I tend to think this is the Garden of Eden, though. I tend to think that the gift is still here. And I mean, it's right there in the text. You eat from the forbidden fruit. Now you have knowledge to know that you're separate from God. A lot of work to create creation just to punish us, right? But if we punished ourselves, for this knowledge. Wouldn't that be a great lesson to know that
Lost Flats.
you're still here? Jesus is
Oh.
God. I'm not avoid saying Jesus is God in the chat. So I said that. You asked me what I thought. I was trying to get specific. Of course, Jesus is God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that John 3:17 in the chat. He did not come into the world to condemn the world, but that the world may be saved through me.
Mhm.
Jesus is God. Jesus is Lord.
Yeah.
I tend to, I'll share this with everyone. I tend to, had some weird things happen lately with prayers. I tend to like lately to say prayers out loud. Like, so if someone's like, pray for me, I'm sick, or my family member is sick. I'm like, all right, I'll say an Our Father out loud right now. You do it too. Because I think saying it out loud, like, it's at the very beginning of the book of the Bible, right? So in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was good. Or the beginning was
Yeah.
God, and then with God was the Word, and the Word was good.
In the
In the
beginning, there was
a
Word,
word,
and the Word was
was
God,
yeah,
and when the Word was with God.
So the Word is not the thought.
No,
I think the
no,
thought
the Word
the thought is
is.
the first thing. The word is like the verbal,
logos.
like in Aramaic and Hebrew, the letter corresponds with the number. And in cymatics with the shape creating the number. The word for man has has a number that creates, a couple letters, shapes. Woman has a word, right? And the gematria is to add them together and it equals child.
Exactly.
There's
That was
something
We're,
to this.
it was
the stream
exactly
probably ended here, guys,
Yeah,
because
I was just gonna
Flat's
say where's
internet
Flat?
dropped. Yeah,
Maybe he'll
he
come
just
back.
posted in an element that I'm on my
It still says live.
phone data. Was
No, let's keep it going.
Still says
I send you
live.
email. So when you have a bit
Cool.
of free time, you can go
you know,
through.
I'm
It's
not
long one.
dropping out either, but
No,
it
they're still
may
in there.
take
People
us
in the
out
chat are
because
the chat's
yeah,
following what we're saying. Can people still see us? Someone type
Yeah.
something.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it look like I have the live stream on, and it looks like we are still here, but it will eventually kick us off because even though we're connected to it, it may, because Flats isn't on it, it may disconnect us.
Oh, got it.
I think Flats has to end it though, and he hasn't done.
Oh well.
Were you
Maybe
aw-
those gunshots got too close.
were
Yeah,
you
That's not
aware
the case.
of the Hebrew name when set up Yahweh letters of the name when set up vertically, they create human posture.
They create a human
yeah,
what?
Posture looks like a man standing.
Oh,
Yeah, when
yeah.
you put Yahweh
The
that,
there.
Hebrew
that
words
stuff's
Yahweh.
all,
Yeah,
yeah, it's all very interesting to me. I'd like to try to, this is going to sound stupid, but I'd like to somehow use cymatics where the shape of sounds create things. It's like, look at whales communicating. I know this is dumb, but there's got to be something coming out of that that's like consistently and redundant, that certain sounds that we just haven't identified. Um,
Yeah.
because all this, everything here is part of creation.
Well, have you seen that experiment where they actually did an experiment with water, and they played nice music to it and talked nice to it, and they froze it, and then they yelled at it and said negative things to it, and then froze it. And what happened to the water is amazing. It's like crazy. It shows you like all the nice things were just these beautiful crystals come out, and when you were yelling at the water, it was all gnarled and grotesque looking.
yes,
It's
I've
yeah,
seen, I've
it's
seen
Yeah,
that
it
one.
was that's in the secret, right?
huh? Oh, I
Or
don't know.
it's part of
I
the
don't know.
secret where you have
I
to.
just
But all the
yeah,
secret, I think, is just verbalizing your thoughts and your intentions. I mean, when something happens, when you put like vocal into the harmonic frequency, speech, the word, when you put the word into the ether here,
Vibration, yes. That,
something happens. And if two people do it, the Lord says He's there. So
yes,
you know,
in his name. What we have lost prayer before sitting together with the family, before eating, dining. We have lost it, and it was very helpful because we are influencing the food and the water we are going to eat.
yeah.
this has been a great call. I should jump off.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get text messages
Yeah.
from my family. Because
Yeah.
I told him 2 hours on a Saturday, and it's
Yeah.
early here. But I'm
Just
really enjoying it, and I would love to jump on anyone else's calls. It's all good for the ideas, the conversations, humanity,
Yeah.
documentaries. So
That was actually good talking with you.
Yep.
I
thank you.
actually
You too.
enjoyed this. So.
We're just gonna. Well, I'm gonna hang around just to see if Flats gets back on, because otherwise his stream's still running.
Yeah, I'll email him too, but love to do it again.
Yeah, he's trying to get back on his phone.
If you have any questions related to the email and the info I provided, feel free to reply and ask. I can provide more details. There's plenty of info there, and I have covered some topics as well with the videos, which I have on my channel, which is on the Odyssey. I don't know if you know the platform. Odyssey.com, censor free. You can upload and say whatever you want. No censorship.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everyone in the chat.
See ya.
Thanks for coming. That was nice. Nice to meet you.
Oh, I guess we take over the show now.
Yeah. Sounds like an honest guy. I don't know him, but that's my impression.
Yeah. No, he seemed very genuine. He didn't have his back up from the get-go. He was just, very cordial, and it was a pleasant conversation. It wasn't him trying to be like, "Oh, you're wrong, I'm right," type thing, right?
Well, like when Whitsick come on.
Yeah, that's a different story. Or Taffy. Huge difference. If they would, the Globbers, if they would be smart, they would act different way. But unfortunately,
looks like Flats has to end the show, so I guess we'll say bye to everyone. God bless. And as Flat says, may the pressure be with you.
Yeah. Have a good one, everyone. Have a good night.
What's happening then? Is he not coming back in?
No, we can't. But he's going to end it. So.
Is he ending it? What are you doing, Flats? Are you ending it?
Well, Yahweh bless everyone.
Yeah, I think we'll just have to leave then, Jeff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then he's going to have an empty screen.
Yeah. Well, I want to get off anyway.
Yeah.
Right, so, night, everybody. Calm's out. So is Jeff.
Yeah. See ya.
See you later.